with this time. I go for mine. I get to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky. I go for mine. I get to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another This Week in Startups. This is not a bonus episode. This is an early episode. You're not getting a bonus episode this week. You've gotten far too many bonus episodes. How many bonus episodes have we done at this point?
3 or 4.
3 or 4 bonus episodes. This is our Friday episode, but it's Thanksgiving, so we're doing it on a Tuesday. I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled, that we have Jim Lanzone with us. Jim is one of my old friends. You know him previously as the CEO of Ask.com, or maybe president. I'm not sure what the title was.
It was both. Over
Yeah,
periods of
CEO
time.
and president of Ask.com when they were probably 10% market share, 15% market share. You were the president, right? Even more?
No, it was never at that much.
Never at that much?
I think it was always small. But I mean, even 2001 when I started, I mean, it was already 20 times smaller than the big guys. So
Right.
yeah.
But of course has moved on and was a entrepreneur in resident at, who were you an entrepreneur?
Redpoint.
Redpoint, of course. Redpoint, great venture capital firm. Played basketball with the guys over there. Greg. You know Greg from down here?
Martin, yeah.
Greg Martin, good guy. And now has a new company, which you guys saw at TechCrunch 50, named Clicker. Clicker, like it's spelled, with the E. Do you guys consider...
We own both.
You own both.
We own both. But the inspiration was my family's all from New York, and they growing up, it was, your jeans were dungarees and your shoes were sneakers, and it was the Clicker.
That was
it
the
wasn't
Clicker.
the remote control.
Absolutely.
So
Where did you grow up in New York?
that was
You were
it.
in Long Island?
I did. I grew up in San Francisco. My
Oh.
parents, my dad's from Ozone Park, Queens. My
Oh,
mom
really?
was born in Brooklyn, grew up in,
Where in Brooklyn?
Mineola.
Do you know?
I don't know because it
You
was
got to know this.
very,
because
very
Brooklyn
young.
is like saying like Los
Yeah,
Angeles
yeah.
is big.
Well, and her maiden name was Garvey, so I always would love to imagine I was related to Steve Garvey, because
Yeah.
he was from Brooklyn. But we never know.
A lot of great people from Brooklyn. And the show has been doing fantastic. I don't know if you guys know this, but 10, 25,000 people watching the show now in the first couple of weeks after an episode comes out. It's pretty fantastic, huh? We've only done 29 episodes. Well, this is the 29th. And the show has become, people are telling me, Tyler, like a must-watch now. And it's quite incredible buzz in the industry. It's like the number of people now asking to be on the show is getting extraordinary.
Yep.
Every week, 20, 30, 40 people asking about the show, and like 4 of them are qualified to be on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the new thing we get. Like everybody's emailing in, like, "Hey, can I be on the show? I'd like to be a guest on the show.
Right.
I'm going to launch a startup."
Yeah.
Quick message: you can't be on the show unless you've done something already. There's not a press release. The show. This is a show, This Week in Startups, for people who have successful startups. People who have done something. If you want to get on the show, you have to do something. If you haven't done something, that's what the Ask Jason section is for. You call in.
Right.
People are confusing the sections.
Right.
I'm not asking Jim Lanzone, famous CEO, to call in and ask a question and having GeekStack on as the guest. When GeekStack closes its round of funding and they have a product in the market and they do something successful, yeah, we'll have them on the show. But that's the carrot. People have it backwards.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's thank the sponsors, because without them, none of this is possible. What's really interesting is some of the other shows out there I saw on This Week in Tech, they're actually using our advertising innovation of thanking the sponsors on Twitter. Everybody knows the sponsors love to hear that you watch the show and that you thank them. It's participatory advertising. It's a whole new genre of advertising I've created. Another
Start a
innovation.
conference for that.
Absolutely. It's the participatory advertising conference. So everybody should take a moment to thank DNA Mail. DNA Mail, everybody loves DNA Mail. They give you complete hosted Exchange servers, and you can do SharePoint and CRM and all these other great products, and you don't have to put up the server. You don't have to waste any time. You don't have to have an IT department. You can just hire developers to make your product and not screw around with that, all for $295. And if you're going to have salespeople and all kinds of other professionals working for you, you're probably going to have to get Exchange, because that's what those guys like to use. And they do a great job, and they've been supporting us from the beginning. They also do Google Apps and a bunch of other hosted stuff. So you don't want to host this yourself. Right? Clicker doesn't have like an IT department, does it?
Not yet.
Yeah, no, and probably never will. And of course, thanks to WebSpy, they've been supporting us from the beginning, and they are a global provider of monitoring, analysis, and reporting software for your internet, for your email. These guys make the greatest analytics software, and you're going to reduce your costs, you're going to minimize your legal liability. This is the kind of stuff that grown-ups use on their networks. If you're a small company, you're going to start wanting to look into this because you want to know what's going across your network. Find out who in your networks may be doing excessive bandwidth. We had an issue at one point. Somebody in the company was using BitTorrent. Can you imagine that? In one of my companies, somebody was using BitTorrent during the day. And you know what happened?
Never heard.
This wasn't Mahalo. It was another company I was involved in. I don't want to say how I'm involved in it because I would give it up. And then they get a letter saying, you are pirating movies, Company X. Let's call it Company X for now. Because they're not monitoring their network. If you're monitoring your network, you have something like WebSpy, you know somebody's using BitTorrent, and you can go to the guy like, hey, you're at work. Do not be downloading Iron Man 2 at work. Or whatever multi-billion-dollar studio you're stealing from, steal at home. Don't do it at work. So WebSpy will help you diagnose things like that and other type stuff. Ustream, they've been a sponsor from the beginning as well. They do a great job. You know Ustream pretty well.
I do. I'm
Good
on the
guys.
advisory board.
What's that?
I'm on the advisory board.
You're on the advisory board of
I am.
Ustream. There you go. This company is crushing it. Brad and John, right?
John Hamm.
John
Yeah,
Hamm and
the
Brad.
CEO.
Who's the other guy?
I remember
Brad.
Brad's last name.
Where's Brad's name? Are they co-CEOs?
Every time I hear Brad, I think Childress.
Hustable?
Vikings.
Huxtable.
Hunt.
Like Huxtable, like the
Bill Cosby.
like Bill Cosby. No, Hustable.
Yeah.
What is it?
Hunstable.
Hunstable. Brad Hunstable. I've been trading emails with him. These guys have been. I mean, these guys are killers.
They're doing great. I mean, I think
Military guys.
they are. West Point.
That's what I want. Some West Point people. How come I have no West Point people at Mahalo? Do we have anybody in the military at Mahalo? To the Mahalo people listening? That would be pretty dope if I had some military people in here. I mean, I got some gangsters in here, but I don't have enough military people. But those guys are pretty focused, building a great business, and they're sponsors of the show, which is fantastic.
He was just at Diddy's 40th birthday party the other night.
Was he
So
at
you're
Diddy's?
mixing the gangsta and the West Point.
I didn't know he was that Ustream was so deep in the hip hop game.
Yeah.
But of course, you know Ustream. A lot of celebrities are using this,
Yep.
including Tilla Tequila, who has lost her mind. This is the second Tilla Tequila Ustream commercial we've done. But basically, Tilla Tequila is the spokesperson for Ustream. If you load Ustream every day, there is an 18% chance when you load it, you will see Tilla Tequila naked. Is it 18% now? It's about 18%.
Best marketing they ever had.
It's not a
I think,
wardrobe
yeah.
malfunction. It's
No, she is stripping, getting naked, falling off couches, probably
being herself.
just being Tilla.
Yeah.
But if you would like to see a naked Tilla Tequila dancing around, load Ustream 5 times a day, 6 times a day, 1 out of 5 or 6 times. You're guaranteed, I'm guaranteeing you right now, you will see Tilla Tequila naked. I can make that guarantee. You can see internet celebrities imploding. And of course, audible.com. This is a fabulous service. Everybody loves audible.com. And they have a whole bunch of other things they're going to offer you today, which I do later in the program. But I just got to say it right now. I love Audible.
You can hear Anne Rice naked on Audible,
Anne Rice.
but you only hear it. don't-
You only hear it
right.
naked. Yes.
But when she's reading the book,
Thankfully,
rumor has it.
you can listen to Dan Brown.
Right.
Dan Brown reads his books naked on
Right.
Audible.
right.
That's a fact. But it's audio only, so you have to imagine,
Right.
which is the wonderful thing about audiobooks. Is you imagine the author
Theater
reading
of the
their
mind.
book.
Yeah.
Can you hear the works of Washington Irving read by Julius Irving?
Yeah.
Dr. J.
Are we ready for a caller? Can we do an Ask Jason?
Yep, we're ready to go.
All right. So let's do an Ask Jason. This is pretty simple. It's going to be Ask Jason Engine.
Great.
There's a graphic for it, as you see on the screen there. It's a very professional operation.
Uh-huh.
Now, we have all these professional graphics and lights. And then a call comes in, and I press the button, and they ask a question.
It's like a real show.
It's like a real show.
Yeah.
Segments, production values, all kinds of great stuff.
We're ready to go with the caller.
Yeah, I'm ready to go too.
He's
The
on
audience-
Skype.
Oh, he's on Skype. I didn't realize that. Ah, you did write it down here. Skype in my show notes. My bad. Hey, does this guy want to come in?
Yeah.
You can come in and watch. There's a seat right there.
It's right there, bud.
There you go. In this chair right here. Not the big one.
The little one.
The little one. That's Tyler's chair. When you grow up and you have insights, you can sit in that chair. We'll put you on later. Okay, so we have a caller. We have 330 viewers already. Wow, everybody who's watching, please tweet a great episode with Jim Lanzone. What are you, Jay Lanzone?
Jay Lanzone.
Jay Lanzone of @Clicker. And
Lanzone by itself was taken.
Lanzone by itself was taken by your dad or somebody, one of your brothers. So our first caller is Eli Bitar. Did I pronounce it correct, Eli? There we go. Eli, are you
There he
there?
is.
Hi.
Okay. You have a question for us?
Yes. Hi. basically, the first thing I'd like to say that I hope that as a startup we'll make it from the Ask Jason to the Jason Show in the future.
Yes.
But so basically, our question is: we're developing a social CRM tool for government entities, such as local authorities and ministries in the UK. And what we've noticed is that the sales, they're getting very excited about what we're presenting them, but we've experienced some bureaucracy within the government while we are at a stage where we want to build credibility and move on very fast. So my question is, we've been doing a number of things to accelerate the sales cycle and by getting in touch with the right people, incentivizing certain people to sell our products on top of us. But I'd like to know what your suggestion would be to fasten it even more.
Okay.
Because we're on fire.
Okay. So you're doing social CRM, which I'm going to take a guess means that you're helping these politicians monitor what people are saying about them or political issues or local issues, putting that into some type of intranet for them to monitor how they're responding and who's saying what. Is that correct?
Politicians, actually more civil servants, and the communication and marketing communication and customer support services of these ministries and local authorities, more than politicians per se.
Okay, so why would they use it? What's the number one use case?
Very simple, and you need to prove it, obviously, but it's cutting costs, because one of the main objectives of the UK government, it's called the NI14, is to reduce the number of avoidable contacts that are made by customer service support and the communication forums, and that's what we aim to do.
Okay, so you still haven't said what the use case is. You said what the benefit is, but how would they use it? Is this like for their call center?
Exactly. Complement their. Oh, sorry. There's been a delay. So yes, we have them monitor, engage in existing conversations across social media, real time, and scale them so that they can basically crowdsource the conversations with the customers, the citizens.
Got it.
In a very efficient way.
Okay,
and simple.
So maybe the citizens can help each other or something to that effect.
With the monitoring of the government.
Yeah, okay, so it's a good idea. Everybody understands that there's conversations going on all over the place in Facebook and Twitter. If you can capture them, there's some value in that, just like there's value in having a database of questions and answers, or there was a value in having an FAQ back in the day. But you're dealing with a very slow bureaucracy, so there are two things you can do. One is, why are you only doing this for politicians or for political groups? I mean, or for governments. You should have a range of clients, and picking the slowest client as your first client base, probably not the brightest idea, to be honest. The second thing is, you got to give it to them for free, let them use it for 6 months, get addicted to it, and then start charging them. So are you doing what they call the freemium model? And why are you only going after governments? Why don't you start with something that could really use it, like a restaurant or a store or a other type of business that would be very quick to spend money on it?
Okay. The first thing is that in terms of verticals, we've been focusing on specific verticals, a vertical rather than trying to do everything at the same time. So obviously we're going to look to focus on a number of others. In terms of why choosing something that is slow, why not choosing something that could go much faster, like restaurants or local areas, is that we've been interacting a lot with the local authorities so far and ministries, etc., and making presentations. So it has been slow in a way, true, but our product is extremely adapted to this vertical right now.
Okay.
In terms of specific features. And your last point was about the freemium model. So we do intend, obviously, for them to deploy it on a small scale, for them to use it and get addicted to it. So that's definitely something that we have in mind.
Yeah. I think the other thing you might want to consider is something that a company called Get Satisfaction has done and other companies have done, which is if they're one thing you can do is give it to them for free and then try to get them to pay. Another thing you can do is set it up for them, seed the community, and let them take ownership of it later. LinkedIn did this with their pages. Yammer did this as well. This is called, there's no name for this model yet. I'm going to name it right now. The name for this model is, well, we'll come up with that later in the show. But basically, if it's sort of like a street level, your client starts using it whether they like it or not. You're sort of putting a gun to their head. So on LinkedIn, there's a Mahalo company page, whether I like it or not. I can go claim it. It's claim it to paid. Let's call it that. So there's a Mahalo page there, whether I want it or not. Yammer, you could create a group of Mahalo employees could go create a group there, and then it's up to me to pay to get it. So you may want to just start these groups about the different local services. So you start one about the Department of Motor Vehicles. You start one about the welfare agency. You do one about the unemployment agency. Start them, get them going, and then say, hey, listen, take this over for this fee. And then you've proven it to them. So you might want to try that sort of claim it model. Does that make sense?
Definitely. I mean, definitely. It's something that we've absolutely been observing, and it could definitely be applied for us. Actually.
Easy E-Boy, one of our super fans in the chat room, says user voice does this as well. He's correct. Jim, what do you think of this business model and going after the government agencies first?
No, I mean, I agree on everything from look at things like sports to the preemptive participation model of hosting this for these politicians and then having them almost opt in later. It just seems like, I mean, if you're trying to get the word out, it seems like a no-brainer PR area too. I mean, especially in the UK. I mean, they would eat this up if there were actually politicians engaging their communities. Yeah. And if you do that, you'll have 10 of them coming to you the next day to try to set it up. So
yeah, and you got to be careful with this because as some people are pointing out in the chat room here, if you do it too aggressively, you will have what happened to Get Satisfaction, which is they had a little bit of a user revolt because people were like, hey, I don't want you to set up a customer support section for my company. Take it down. And they're like, well, we can put it up because it's up to the community if they want to have it or not. And so you don't want to be too aggressive with it. And you want to make it clear that this is not sponsored. It's an unofficial. So you can say this is an unofficial guide to the Department of Motor Vehicles. We hope that they listen to what's going on in here, but we can't guarantee that. So good luck with it. What's the name of the company? Do you have a name for this company?
Thank you very much. The name of the company is Crowdsourcing Services Limited, and our current URL, which is not live, is CaseFeed.
That's no problem.
Wait.
.com.
Case what?
Sorry, CaseFeed.com.
CaseFeed? CaseFeed?
Yes.
Okay, that makes no sense. I don't know what that domain means. And the name of it, Crowdsourcing Services Limited, it sounds like I don't know what it sounds like. It sounds weird, like a consulting firm. You're going to want to spend a little bit of time coming up with a great name that's 2 words, possibly, and you're going to want to make it so you have a beautiful logo and it's easy to remember. And it could be suggestive of what you're doing. But you need to work on the name. So look at the great names that are out there for these kind of companies, and you're going to need some help with the naming. It's very important.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
great.
Spend time on the name and make it a really, somebody says Lean Gov. That's actually a really good one.
It is.
Lean Gov, if that's available, Leangov.
And that person just bought it.
That person bought it, but like you could say, because you're doing Gov, right? So you have Gov, and you have the .gov domain, which I don't think you can get, but .gov does mean government, so you have that as a suffix, and then you can put something in front of it, right? Like Better Gov, or Good Gov, or Best Gov, or Better Gov, or you can start playing with these things. Like last week we had Pure Cause on, and that name I remember like crazy. Pure Cause, right? PureCause.com.
Or in Web 1.0 we had EasyGov.
EasyGov.
And FirstGov, right?
Yeah, I mean, but Gov is a good one, and so play with the 2 words, suffix, prefix. You could have Gov something, Gov Stir, GovIst. This is how you would name it if it was an editorial brand. But you could have GovWorks. That was the name of a company already. Gov something, Gov Solutions. That's probably taken. But come up with something suggestive.
I mean, we've been looking at names with the Gov in it, and we do have a few ideas. So even though, anyway, since we haven't released yet, I told you the name of the URL, but obviously we've been looking at names with Gov, and I mean, thank you for the suggestion, and we'll definitely be finding something that is much more suggestive.
Naming your company is critical. Mahalo. Mahalo. Known word. Beautiful logo. Everybody knows the company I'm CEO of. Clicker. Jim Lanzone's company. Ask.com, his previous company. Weblogs Inc. Engadget. Autoblog. Joystick. Not Crowdsourcing Services Limited. Case Feed. What are you talking about? You have to spend time on this. This is critical. This is like you're going on a date with a girl, and the clothes you wear and the shoes you wear, that's how she's going to judge you. You have to wear the right shoes, or else it's a non-starter. The right girl's not going to date you if you have, you're wearing dirty jeans and a dirty shirt and a pair of ripped up sneakers. It's over, unless there's like some emo girl or maybe if you're in Silver Lake or something. I don't know. Anyway, take it seriously, because you're not taking it serious enough right now. Naming, very important. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much, Jason.
Okay.
And Jim.
Yes, and hopefully you earn your way onto the show as a guest. Although with your... All right, so let's take him off, because... Isn't it amazing, though, Tyler? The people with the naming?
I just found out, I think Leanly is available, with the .ly, which seems to be the hot new...
Oh.
Don't get you started with that.
Govly?
Govly? Oh.
Govly?
Lovely Govly.
Lovely Govly. I hate that nonsense.
Yeah. LY's catching on, so's .fm. But it gives people more of an option to come up with names. You use Bitly all day long.
You know what? Delicious did this as well. And then when they were successful, they wound up buying delicious.com.
Sure.
You're going to wind up at a .com anyway.
Yes.
You might as well make the effort and spend the money to get it early. So you don't have to rebrand it.
Works for Bitly because they actually are a URL.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're not going to the
Bitly's an
website.
exception.
Yeah.
I mean, and is Bitly even a business? I don't know. I mean, it remains to be seen if it's a business.
I think Twitter's going to buy them.
Okay, they're going to buy them. That means it's a nice feature that Twitter wants to have incorporated into it.
Yeah.
And your nose is in the right direction because John Borthwick, who does BetaWorks, sold some eyes to it. So it's quite possible.
Right.
But if they're going to make that into a brand, because they now have all that data of what links are popular, and they're going to make it into a Dig-like brand, which is a possibility, or a Stumble-like brand. People have been saying these guys have better
do analytics out of that.
It's a lot of great data they have since they've got critical mass. But what does bit.ly mean to people? It doesn't mean like New York Times or Dig. Dig is a beautiful name. 4 letters. It means something. It's unique. You dug something. You dig it. You got to really think about the name. Maybe Bitly will launch a second brand with their data, like Bits, like the New York Times Bits. Maybe they get Bits or something. Okay, so the next segment on the show, we got that done. As Jason's done, now we go on to Jason's Shark Tank. You know the Disney TV show Shark Tank?
I do know the show.
Here's the opening.
That's what I want.
That's the best picture. That's the McCabe picture.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that they added me to the Shark Tank show.
Yeah. Would you have invested in the
show? No.
the flatulence product? Did you guys see that
I didn't
one?
see it. You know,
the old couple pitching the flatulence product.
You know what happened? Well, that's what it's come to. They asked me to be on the show.
Yeah.
Twice they called. So Tyler calls them to set up lunch or whatever. We'll get together. Mark Burnett Productions. He's such a big shot. So professional. He's got some shows on all his TV. You know what they do? They don't even call back. Tyler calls like 3 times. Like, hey, we're supposed to set up lunch or whatever. They don't call back. Then they have all these people on the show.
Did you read for them or something?
I didn't read. They called me out of the blue. Hello, we're calling from Mark Burnett Productions, ABC. We're doing this show. Please keep it confidential. We think that you're incredible. We watch all your videos. We have your dossier. We think you'd be great on the show. Da-da. Then they call back. And da-da-da. Then they never call back. Very
I don't think they
unprofessional.
have any technology people on it.
I mean, the show is terrible. I mean, they just abuse the entrepreneurs, which you do some angel investing.
Yep.
Do you try to humiliate the people who you're going to invest in? Do you try to beat them down and crush their souls?
I do that after the investment.
After the investment,
Yeah.
correct. You got to get it correct. Okay, so Jason calling from the 805. Where are you calling from?
I'm actually in Santa Monica.
In Santa Monica, sunny Santa Monica. So you're close.
How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Please tell me you're not like standing outside the studio with an AK-47 or something. We don't like your idea. You're going to shoot the place up?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good. And so you're in sunny Santa Monica like we are, and you're going to pitch us so you know how this works. We're going to give you 60 seconds. And you ready to go?
Ready to go.
You nervous?
Nervous? No.
Good. I like that confidence.
Waiting for feedback? Yes.
Okay, good. In 3, 2, 1, you're on.
We've built a platform that we call Content Bridge. It provides content management and supply chain automation for the entertainment industry. We solve a fundamental problem that every content-centric company has across the movie, television, and music industries. That problem is as follows. If you have thousands, if not millions, of pieces of content, and hundreds, if not thousands, of business partners, all who which need the content and the metadata and the associated collateral in different formats. In other words, they all have heterogeneous requirements. Yet, all of that content to all of those business partners in an efficient, cost-effective, quality-assured manner. And the answer for almost everybody in the business today is not very well. And we've solved that problem. And there is my elevator pitch.
Okay. Your pitch was pretty good because I understand what you do. That's a good pitch. Was I excited and did I think there was something incredibly innovative about it? No. So I think it was clear but not inspiring. And a great pitch should present some huge problem that you're going to solve and that you're going to do in some incredibly unique fashion. So I believe you that these entertainment companies have a lot of pieces of data. They have a lot of partners. They need to get it to them. They have disparate needs. But I'm assuming that a lot of these systems have been built already or they have homegrown systems. And I'm not sure that these are the best customers in the world because there's a small number of them. And they're kind of broke. So I was left wanting a little bit more towards the end of like, what is this amazing solution you've come up with?
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of CRM systems out there, and there's a lot of digital rights management systems out there. This has been going on. I've heard about these companies for 20 years now. But let me have Jim give you the sort of feedback he has after hearing your pitch.
I guess there's just a couple missing pieces, right? One is business model, and two is how big is the market. And I don't mean on the thousands of pieces of content, that's obvious, but you know, what in terms of the actual paying customers side of this, and how, you know, what are they going to actually pay for? How are you going to make money on it?
Sure.
In terms of the need, we see this at Clicker. I mean, it's obvious the need is there. My biggest concern and fear is that it's kind of like selling technology to doctors or lawyers. I mean, these guys are so far in the Stone Age with some of this stuff. The people in charge of making these decisions are often, they wouldn't even know the first thing about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So how are you going to kind of cross that chasm?
All right, so there you have it. Market size was a key. What's the business model? How are you going to charge for this? So how many customers really are there? How are you going to charge for it? And then how are you going to overcome their major objection? You know, or how are you going to overcome their major lack of sophistication in technology? I'm going to let you answer that in a second, but I'm going to encourage everybody who's in the chat room on Ustream or listening on Twitter to say what they thought of the pitch. So give us a 1 to 10, what you thought of the pitch and why. Put a little sentence in there, and I'll read that back to him in a second. But Jason, answer Jim's questions.
Okay. Jim, you want to fire back one at a time and I'll answer them?
Sure. Business model.
Business model is predominantly SaaS. The system, Content Bridge, is hosted at our data center. It's web accessible. So in other words, we source, digitize, quality assure, and ingest our clients' content, post it on the platform. Their product managers access it over any web-enabled device. They can reach into the digital, asset management utility, pull assets out, generate products, distribute them through the supply chain to business and marketing partners anywhere in the world.
And what are you going to charge for that?
We have two pricing methodologies. We want to price in a way that is normalized to the industry in which we're working. So inside the entertainment industry, there really is the television, movie, recorded music, and music publishing businesses. We're not focusing on book publishing or anything of that nature. So for the movie and television industries, they're used to working with post-production facilities that bill on an a la carte per action basis. Our system has a full audit trail. It's very easy for us to do that. Every time they want to transcode and deliver a particular product, they'll get billed. For the music industries, they're more interested in a fixed cost. They want a scalable, flat rate per whatever the billing period is, call it monthly, based on the number of assets in the system. Did that answer your question?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it does. What's unique about your system compared to how they do it already? Is there something unique about it?
There is a tremendous amount of unique qualities in our system. To give you some tangible examples, UMG, Vivendi Universal, right? Largest music company in the world, about 35% of the market. Also owns Genius Products and is now a theatrical movie releasing company with several thousand hours of catalog. They have a system called HAL, which basically manages sound recordings and the images associated with albums and can transcode and deliver those. Doesn't do any metadata. They had to build a separate system called R2D2 to do that. And they have absolutely no solution for any kind of video. So not only do they have disparate systems that creates a process that can take, call it 2 months to take a product to market, but they don't have any solution for video. So we've done all of these things and wrapped them into one easy-to-use system so that a single product manager can manage the entire supply chain end-to-end without having to, go to other people, go to other systems, call vendors. We've really removed a lot of the logistical complexity from the process.
So most people have homegrown systems, and
well, at the major studios, yes, because they've been around long enough.
Right.
Some don't really have any at all, surprisingly.
Oh, really? They have like file folders and floppy disks and Excel spreadsheets?
Guys like companies like MGM and Lionsgate, you'd be surprised. They use a lot of third-party vendors to manage their media. They've got tapes and digital files sitting at Technicolor and Ascent.
Wow.
But those guys don't know how to handle metadata. They don't know what supply chain looks like. It's a surprising challenge. And in fact, in my opinion, can be a Sarbanes-Oxley violation because these publicly traded companies are issuing reports to their stakeholders under certain assumptions, like they can actually monetize their library. In fact, in some cases, Lionsgate has a multi-$100 million credit line collateralized by that library under the pretense that that library is monetizable.
Right.
But in fact, I would posture only about 10% of it's monetizable because they don't have
Got it.
the system.
So have you gotten any of these people to, have you had a meeting with anyone and said, hey, I have this software I'm building, are you interested in it, and what was their initial feedback?
Yes, we have not shown it to everybody, but
Right.
those who have seen it are incredibly excited by it. We're currently in a private beta with clients that we feel signal trust and quality to their peers in their respective industries.
Yeah.
And that's going quite well for us.
And what's the name of the company?
The name of the company is Content Bridge.
Content Bridge. But you don't have the domain, I see.
ContentBridge.tv.
ContentBridge.tv, okay. And I see the ContentBridge.com domain is for sale, but you haven't gotten it yet. And has the company raised money yet, or where are you at with that?
According to your .com.
Yes.
Yes. So Content Bridge is actually a subsidiary of a company called Go Digital that built this application of its own internal need to manage content and accelerate the supply chain. Go Digital is itself a content-centric company,
Got it.
predominantly engaged in distribution.
I think you have something interesting here. It is boring in one way, but if, it might be boring to people listening to the show, but this might be to the people who are managing this file room with all this nonsense in it and all this disparate systems, and the only way to know if somebody had a Mustang car versus a Mustang horse, in a movie scene that they could license, would be, through like some old lady who's been working there for 40 years, who has a great memory. This could be like a savior for them, and I think that they would see an increase in their sales and, probably reduce delinquency. So I think you have a winner, depending on.
We do too. we achieved two things, and you nailed it. We reduced cost and we increased revenue.
Right. It's going to be a no-brainer for people. I think you got to go in and just, get them addicted to it, and then charge them a very large fee for it once they are addicted to it. But good luck with it, and keep us posted. Do you have a Twitter account that we can follow to follow progress of your company?
Not currently on Twitter.
Okay.
Probably should be after that.
Yeah, you need to do the whole social media thing. You got
Neither are most of the people he's selling to, though.
Yeah,
so
but even still, you should get a whole thing going, because the Lionsgate guys will be, and somebody who works there will be. Every company's got 3 intelligent people at it. These big companies that have over 1,000 people, there's at least 3 people there who get it. And when you sort of have a good social media presence and you're talking about this archiving stuff and digital rights management, media management, they'll get it. But it looks like you have a good business, and if it's all hosted and whatnot, it could be a money printing machine, especially if they're paying monthly or quarterly. This thing could just be like an annuity and just keep paying off. So good luck with it.
Beautiful. Thanks for your time.
Cheers now, bye. Low energy, boring, but great business, perhaps.
Long sales cycle.
Long sales cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the business I would hate to be in.
Yeah. I
hate any business where you rely on somebody else to give you permission to get stuff done. That's why I fell in love with the internet.
Yeah.
So,
.NET, he could do .NET. That's going to make a big comeback.
.NET.
Don't you think?
Of course, yes.
Remember, like Web 1. You'd have to buy .com, .net, .org.
Yes.
As long as you bought those 3, you were covered.
Absolutely. So, where to begin? Let's talk about your experience with TechCrunch 50. You were selected as a company. You pitched there, and then the site launched shortly thereafter. How was the whole TechCrunch 50 experience? And then what's life been like post TechCrunch 50? Because you've been in the industry for a long time, so I'm actually very curious to hear what somebody who's a seasoned vet thinks of it. Usually we have people, it's their first company.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't our first thought that we were going to be doing it, but, talking to you guys, it sounded like timing would be good, and we felt, I mean, I said this in my Sarah Lacey interview afterwards, where she was like, why are you guys here, after already having raised money? Right. It's like, well, we're not above throwing ourselves in and seeing what you thought of it. I mean, it's a Shark Tank even before you go there, right?
Sure.
And so, anyway, the feedback was obviously really, really good, and a lot of great buzz at the show, and we accomplished our main objective, which was getting, a lot of beta users into our private beta, because there's a lot of machine learning that's in our product. So if you use Clicker, the search results train themselves, all the related suggestions of shows. So if you type in Modern Family, a related might be Arrested Development. That's all happening, in an automated fashion. And so, the beta users that we got, which were tens of thousands as a result of, a 6-minute demo, which is the only press we did in the time we were live. So that was, it went so well that we actually, I think we'd planned on doing beta until maybe January. But the feedback, a lot of which was through Get Satisfaction, was a huge amount of it was really just praise. It was saying like that they liked it, and a lot of the bugs were cleaned up really fast. The biggest point that we needed to improve was the playlist function, which is kind of like the TiVo function of Clicker. Right. And we did that, and so it was 58 days later, we said we're going to open the doors and go. Yeah. So we skipped private beta and went right to public.
For the people who don't know, I'm going to pull up Clicker here on the screen. What is the elevator pitch? Why Clicker? Yeah. I mean, some people may not have seen the, it's fairly obvious when you pull it up.
50?
They may not have seen the TechCrunch 50, but here I have it on the screen. Why do people come here?
So essentially the world of television is blurring as we go forward, and a lot of this programming is moving online. When you do that and you combine it with all the great programming that is born kind of native of the internet now, like this one, you wind up with 400,000 plus full episodes of programming that are online today. And that's with things like Seinfeld only having 6 to 9 episodes at any one time. That's creating a world of almost infinite video on demand. And in that scenario, what the world needs is not TV Guide as a schedule grid, but really as a navigational device. And so what we did was we set out to create essentially the TV Guide of the next generation. TV Guide was created in 1953. There were 3 networks and I think 48 slots of programming. So if you were to create it today instead of 1953, it would look a lot more like Clicker, which is a part search engine, part directory, part wiki, part DVR, and kind of merges all those things together so you can find any show, figure out whether it's online, where it's online, and what's worth watching.
And this has happened to me many times. We were watching, my wife and I watched the pilot of V, you know, the remake, and here it is on the screen. And then we wanted to watch we had TiVo the 3rd episode, but we missed the 2nd episode because we didn't put the season pass on. So now we're trying to find the 2nd episode so we can watch the 3rd episode. And sure enough, we went on Clicker, and here it is. And it told us it's available on ABC, on Hulu, and available on the WB. So in this case, pretty good. It's available everywhere. And you have the title of the show, the running time, etc. And we actually knew we had missed the 2nd show, because that was the other question, is
right.
what did we miss? And it's amazing to me, but this kind of functionality isn't on a TiVo, isn't on a DirecTV. Why do they not show, why is this not my interface for DirecTV?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a question. Why?
I think it will be.
It will be.
So we're pretty close to launching our Boxy app, which will be the first 10-foot experience of Clicker. And when we'll go to Windows Media Center and other things after that. And I think, as you use our, in our testing environment, you use this Boxy app and you say, God, I would love that on my TV, just to do what I already do. Not to mention it gets at cooking shows you've never heard of that are online from the New York Times that are great, and other things. So yeah, I mean, in fact, Clicker, the regular website, clicker.com, is meant to almost look like an app, look like a navigational device, and not sprinkled with tons of content everywhere like a magazine or something like that.
I noticed it doesn't look like a website.
Yeah,
it doesn't have scrolling. It doesn't have too much scrolling.
It's supposed to be above the fold. It's 3 things.
If it can be.
Yeah, it's a category structure that you can browse without typing.
Right.
It's highlights of the day, what's new, what's hot, and then a search box.
And I see the shows by title is done in the sort of alphabetical order, so you can sort of highlight the letters just like you might with a remote.
Right, like a TiVo, and and then if you click into like comedy in the category structure, and just go in, and then you see all subcategories under comedy subcategory, and you just see how much programming there is online in any one of these.
Right.
And it's
and I like that you can go and look at the 70s. I mean, that's something that is not inherent. Somebody thought about, hey, how would you want to navigate television shows, and Hulu, whatever, they have a lot of the shows, but they don't have all of them.
Yeah.
And so you now cut across all of these services. How do you do that? I mean, do these guys have APIs that you can call on, or is this all manual?
Both. So APIs or RSS feeds, or there's a reason where a search team that's behind it is it's not manual from the perspective of getting the data. That's automated. What's manual is saying, well, who do you want, and identifying sources. And we learn from that in an automated way. But you say you want the New York Times, then you set up technology to get the data from the New York Times and maintain it and stay on top of it as it changes, which is actually a really big thing. Seinfeld's always a great example of the problem online right now. You want to watch Seinfeld. Well, first of all, it's not on NBC, which is where you would think to find it.
Right.
It's on TBS.
And the reason it's on TBS
they own
is
the rights.
They own the rights.
And then they have 6 to 9 episodes that go on and off online every couple weeks, and you don't know when, you don't really know why.
Right.
So we stay on top of that, and there's just an incredible number of shows where that's the case. Other shows like Charlie Rose, there's 2,300 episodes online, but they've moved around a lot over time. Some were on YouTube, some were on Google Video, and so we've brought them all together in one place with one organized structure by season, etc.
And lest anybody think that this is all, Battlestar Galactica and Seinfeld, if you go there and type in Calacanis, all of these shows that I'm looking at, Dog and Pony Show, Ask Palpatine, Intruders, Business POV, TechCrunch, Shiny Media, and even This Week in Startups is in there, and Chris Pirillo's show, these are all web-based shows.
Yeah.
And so you're blending in this, and if I type in apple pie, you'll see a better example. You've got the Today Show, and then you've got different how-to sites, etc. So you're blending the premium or traditional, let's call it, and the web.
So we call it broadcast and then broadcast quality, or TV or TV quality. So if you say the long tail, I think that gets too noisy to be something you'd want to watch in the 10-foot experience. But so I call it the head, neck, and shoulders of video content. What you almost would call programming, right? As opposed to some cat video or excerpts and clips, which we don't do.
Right. So instead of typing something into YouTube where you're going to get some knucklehead laughing at their camera and it's too much noise, You're saying let's skim the cream. Let's do the fat part of the tail, the mid tail, and maybe we'll leave the long tail to Google, YouTube, etc.
And actually, this gets more important for the next 5 years, because you already see narrowcasting happening on cable. And what cable companies will tell you is that the top 30 channels are really the only ones that are watched with any significance.
Right.
But there's 150 of them, right, on DirecTV or whatever. And so you have hunting channels and things that are pretty niche, but you don't go so far down as having an archery channel.
Right.
But in the future you will, because it'll be online. And these programs will be very well done, right?
Sure.
We have Charlie Rose. This show isn't online yet, but it's because it's tailored to entrepreneurs. It might be a little more niche that might have its own cable channel right now.
Right.
But it's a legitimate source of premium programming. And so we have over 1,200 categories. And these things are just going to explode, I think. I mean, I remember the early days of search. One of the arguments against search engines and why people started moving away from investing in them before Google was the argument that you would bookmark your favorite sites and always go back to them.
So
and
why
not
would you
search
need
engines,
the search engine? Yes,
right?
you've got already,
Right.
you've bookmarked ABC and, you know.
And instead it became your life on demand, right? The whole life engine thing was actually right, that Yahoo did in their ad campaign. But, and the same thing is going to happen with this kind of content. You will have Lost and V and these, you know, Battlestar Galactica, but you also have things that are native of the internet.
So, in your estimation, people's watching time, right now, if you looked at the entire nation, everybody without an internet connection, what percentage are spending their time watching, let's call it, not the mainstream TV kind of stuff, but the professionally produced web stuff? Is that 2% of the television watching?
Apparently it's now 25% have watched premium programming online.
Right. So that's watching premium program. What I'm saying is, if of Americans, what percentage of their time is non-professionally produced, but non-professionally produced, not ABC, CBS, cable channels? Is 5%
of their overall?
Overall, like,
yeah,
I mean,
it's
you have
probably
YouTube.
less than 10%. I think the average amount of
YouTube
time,
has so much time people watching.
but they're short, right?
Yeah.
So they're all like 3-minute videos.
Okay.
So the number of videos is high. The amount of time on an individual website is still 10 minutes.
Right.
So and that's even Hulu, which will host major 30, 60, 2-hour long programs.
Sure, they have movies on there. Yeah.
But I just saw an interesting stat, which is that the average amount of time the average American watches television is now 4 hours and 50 minutes a day. So it's
4
actually
hours and 50 minutes a day.
Yeah, it's actually
and you
increased.
Sleep for 8. So it's increasing, but it's not necessarily increasing on a television or delivered over a cable or DirecTV.
Well, it won't. People say, well, where are people going to have the time to watch all this stuff?
Right.
And the actual answer is no, you're not getting more time in the day, but you are getting more time with access to watching. So it's going to be 3 screens, it's going to be in your hand, it's going to be right on Ripple TV, it'll be on your computer, and now it's on Virgin, right? It's on the airline.
I mean, it's actually interesting on Virgin, you go through the stations, and Boing Boing has an entire channel now.
Yeah.
So you get to channel 9 or 10 on Virgin, it's all Boing Boing, and I went back and forth on the plane. I saw 5 people watching it, 10 people watching it.
But while I was walking to the plane, I saw the people watching video on their
laptops.
I saw people watching Hulu. I was watching Between Two Ferns on Funny or Die.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. The Hulu, not so good on the Virgin. It skips a little bit. It took a little.
Well, the go-go connection is slow.
Yeah. So in your estimation, the television industry, is it screwed, or is this like an incredible renaissance? People are having a hard time with all these mixed signals. DVD sales plummeting, the number of hours watching video increasing, YouTube booming, original content production on the web increasing, shows like This Week in Tech, Boing Boing. So you have all these signals of quality there. All these other devices like Boxy over IP. What is the net of all of this? Is it going to be a lot more programming? The end of professionally produced, a lot more produced for a lot less? What can people expect?
Ari Emanuel at Endeavor, who was the model for Ari Gold and Entourage, just a couple weeks ago sent around this Life magazine article to everyone at William Morris and Endeavor that was from 1973 about how Hollywood was screwed.
Yeah.
With all the changes happening and independent filmmakers and how they couldn't make money anymore. And this whole article was about Gulf and Western, which owned Paramount and all that.
Robert Evans.
Yeah, exactly. He sent it around. Yeah, I love that book.
Yeah.
Although I've heard a lot of it was fabricated. But
Kid stays in the picture.
Yeah. But anyway, so and he sent it around to everybody now, and I think that his point was things are changing. There's going to be ebbs and flows, and we're certainly going through huge business model changes. And with Clicker, since we're a navigational device, we're kind of agnostic to that, right? We're going to send you whoever wins, whatever models evolve, we'll be able to kind of be the roadmap to that. But for the content producers, I mean, I think in the networks and cable companies, there's just so much at stake. And I think what we're going to see is we're going to have a huge set of changes, but Hollywood has gone through this before. You have the changes at the end of the studio system, you know? And so I think it's going to be that seismic, but at the end of the day, you're going to wind up with huge amount of programming being created, huge amount of choice. It'll be better in a lot of ways.
It seems like it's going through a renaissance because of the TiVo, because you can actually watch a story arc over X number of episodes, where a lot of these TV shows, if you missed, one episode, 2 episodes of Sopranos, you just were lost.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to miss anything.
Well, and they just now have stats to track what TiVo is doing.
Yeah.
And what they're finding is that whereas they thought it was the enemy,
right,
they all now are realizing how much traffic they're getting from TiVo.
It's unbelievable.
And it's kind of by show, right? It's not every show that gets this, but Flash Forward, I think, was the example of a show that was getting, the ratings weren't necessarily where they wanted them to be, but when they factored in TiVo watching, it just was extreme. Right. So yeah, I mean.
And if you miss a show, you can do it. So it seems like the writers are able to do more complex things with the show, which then makes the content more rewarding. So you couldn't do a show, you had to do these one-off shows in the past that were, if you miss an episode of Illustrated Blues, the next one is going to be pretty much standalone. There might be some threading. But the threading now on a show like Lost is, multiple season arcs, episode arcs. I mean, incredibly detailed. Yeah. It's phenomenal.
It doesn't have to cost as much money necessarily to be good. I mean, which Star Wars is better? The one that cost $6 million or the one that cost $200 million?
Yeah, pretty obvious.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it looked better with the models moving through space than when they were cartoons, right? And It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia was videotaped in their apartments and then sent to the networks in FX, who then bought it and they turned it into a show, which is still cheap to produce.
Yeah.
And I think, so it doesn't. It's not that we have to spend $400 million to make Avatar or whatever, G.I. Joe or whatever.
I had the Blade Runner box set, the final cut, and I got this 55-inch LED TV that Alex works on a show here just installed, and it's incredible. The film looks better than any science fiction, any special effects in the last 10, 20 years.
Right.
And this film is from 1983.
It's not even close.
Not even close. Doing models
CGI was like the worst
thing
that ever happened to
Avatar, I look at Avatar and it looked like Call of Duty or some game. Like, it doesn't look like a movie to me.
I agree.
Crazy. Somebody asks about international. You have a big opportunity. You're getting some traction here in the U.S. Is this going to come to Australia? J.W. McGregor asks.
So definitely international is top of the roadmap. The first place will be the UK.
Yeah.
That was at Ask. It was 40% of our revenue. It's a great market, and so we definitely will cover that off probably first, with other English-speaking countries being second. So Canada, Australia.
Yeah.
And I think Europe happens before Asia.
Sure.
Especially like Japan, if you look at that, they're still using directories more than search engines, and they watch 6 stations of television. It's just a different market. And then on the other hand, they pay, what do they pay for Nico Duga? Like $10 a month to. Do you know what the site is?
No, Tyler.
Yeah, you know what it is. It's where the text goes by on the screen. The comments are in real time.
Oh yeah.
They're all commenting. It's almost like pop-up video, but over any YouTube video. People pay a subscription monthly fee to do that, and yet they only watch 6 television networks. So we'll probably go Europe before Asia, but English-speaking countries are a priority.
So these devices like Boxy, and there's another one. What's the other one that Hulu kept blocking? Was it Boxy?
Boxy was the one.
Boxy's the one.
Yeah.
So now Boxy is software to run on a Mac Mini or whatever that gives you a nice 10-foot experience.
It's like an operating system.
Like an operating system. Yeah. And now they have a device coming out?
Well, they're not making it, so it's a big. I mean, the thing with Boxy, and they have a great following. They already have 1,000 RSVPs for their party next week for coming out of beta, because it's an open source community.
Yeah.
People can build, and so there are 2 companies I think building boxes for Boxy, which
interesting.
Is named Boxy, but it I think stands for the unboxing in a lot of ways of this stuff. But and I think Boxy is a great early stage example of of where things are going to head.
Today, somebody could buy a boxy unit, put it on their TV, and have more than enough choices of television to watch without getting cable or DirecTV, correct?
Kind of. So Hulu blocks them.
But there's got to be a workaround. They keep playing that cat and mouse game.
Well, there's not one. There's not a workaround to play it in the boxy player. I mean, what
Right.
they're doing is then sending you to the Hulu website.
Why are they doing that?
Why is Hulu doing that?
Right, because they're trying to do deals, or is it that they have already deals with their cable providers? It doesn't make sense to me.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's the fact that this content, they're owned by these networks, but their content is controlled upstream from them, and they have certain rights they were granted when they were created as a startup to distribute this stuff, and so I think pretty accurately it violates the terms of that. Now, should those be the terms, or were they created kind of pre-enlightenment of this stuff? And I think we're probably in the early stages of enlightenment still.
So it's a contractual issue. It's a channel conflict based on some antiquated contracts, because when they click and send you to a website on Hulu, there's a full screen.
Right.
So basically, they just make the user hit the full screen button.
Well,
is that correct?
Well, but it was. I think the boxy issue was done with the idea that it was taking you off the web. It was essentially a cable cutting device, which Avner's who's the CEO of Boxy, his picture on Twitter is him sitting over a crushed television with a baseball bat. I mean,
really?
I mean that's what he represents.
So maybe
I think
not a great way to embrace the.
Well, I think what he means is it's actually just freeing us of the restrictions of the past 50 years, and it's definitely looking ahead.
Now, does Boxy have their own version of Clicker, or that's just too big?
That's what we're building. So we're building them a version of Clicker.
Right. So they're not going to get into this business. You're going to provide them their directory. So
they'll have some search for their own stuff, but it won't be at the level of what we would do.
Right. And so what other devices are you going to try to put Clicker on? I mean, would this be someday I turn on my DirecTV and there's a Clicker button, and I can use Clicker on my TV? It would be much better for me.
That's the vision.
That's the vision.
So the first ones would be like Windows Media Center, Xbox, PS3, things like that. Then going the other way, there's going to be a version of Clicker for the iPhone. And in that case, you have to have some changes to our database, because you want to get things that are only watchable on the iPhone. You don't want to see the whole catalog. Right. It's going to be some subset. So we want to be wherever.
But on an Android
Yahoo
phone,
widgets.
you'd be able to watch anything that's available.
Sure.
Actually, no. You have the Android, or what do you use? iPhone?
I recently held. I have the iPhone, but I recently held the Droid. It was
It's heavy.
It's very heavy.
I have the Droid.
And I hate typing on it like this way.
It's a little bit weird, the typing, but better than typing on an iPhone. I have to say though, after using Gmail, Quick, the streaming video, and Foursquare, and Twitter, it's a more enjoyable experience than an iPhone for those applications. And those applications are 80% of what I do on my phone. And surfing the web, much better experience. And Verizon, much better experience than AT&T, which is a bit of a disaster, their network. Overall, if I have both devices with me, and I carry a BlackBerry iPhone and a Droid phone, I carry 3 phones, I am going to my BlackBerry first for email, because I know it's going to be loaded, and then I go for all web-based and other stuff to my Droid. Just happened 3 days ago.
But are you doing that because of Verizon, or are you doing that because?
Well, that's the question.
I mean, AT&T is just. I don't know what happened, but it went from bad to worse.
Well, that's because the iPhone people have, they use so much more bandwidth.
Yeah.
But this Droid, I have to say, for Foursquare and for Twitter and these other applications, surfing the web and Gmail, it's so much. It feels so much faster than an iPhone, and has the same processor, from what I understand, the same processing power. But I guess the operating system is lighter than the iPhones, and the battery lasts twice as long, it feels like, than the iPhone, because the iPhone battery lasts, 17 minutes?
The new one is worse, yeah.
It's a disaster. The new one lasts like 17 minutes. You raised $10 million for the company? $8 million.
Yeah.
From
Bill Gurley at Benchmark and Jeff Yang
of
Redpoint, who was on the board at Ask. So I was.
Interestingly enough, Jeff Yang, great VC.
Yeah.
Terrible poker player, lost at least $1,000 at the Wall Street Journal D-Poker game. You've played poker with him.
Part of it was from me.
Yes. He's a terrible poker player, correct?
To his credit, earlier that night, he saw me get skunked out completely by Dave Goldberg.
Goldberg was a shark.
Who had 4 sevens.
Right.
I mean, come on, I had a great hand.
Just quads.
But
is that all he had?
Yeah.
Just quads?
Yeah. But Jeff, I think, really thought I slow played him, and I think he thought I didn't know what I was doing.
Right. Like many VCs, overplayed his hand.
Yes.
No, great guy, terrible poker player, but we love him.
But he was an original TiVo investor, and Redpoint was in Netflix, and so they've they've gotten in, I think, at a lot of the things that are causing disruption.
So an $8 million first round.
A year ago.
Which is pretty respectable.
Yeah.
And actually, did you do it before the financial crisis? Was it before?
It was right at the financial crisis.
Oh, so September.
It was October,
Oh,
late
October.
October.
Great timing.
Yeah.
And so did that impact the negotiation in raising the money, or they?
No, it was kind of. I mean, I think we were atypical in that. Actually, Dave Goldberg and I wound up originally brainstorming the TV guide for the web idea, and I wound up pursuing it. He was doing SurveyMonkey, which is just killing it.
Yeah, top 100 site.
Great business. Well, even not just the traffic. I mean, they just
the revenue.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so
I was in a meeting for a school board I'm on. I'm on the board of a school in Brooklyn, and this other guy was from an accrediting agency, and he's like, "Yeah, you could just do a SurveyMonkey for that." And I was like, "Really? Like this is like an educator." One of the biggest things in education is doing surveys of parents and whatnot. They all use SurveyMonkey.
Yeah.
They pay for it. Just use SurveyMonkey. I was like, wow, that is a really
I'm not
big
sure
brand.
who's making more profit. His wife Cheryl's company,
Facebook or SurveyMonkey.
His, yeah. I mean, they're doing really well. So
I can tell you who's the better poker player. Dave Goldberg, good poker player.
Yeah.
So you got a good valuation.
Got a good valuation, and I knew to go after this. I mean, the thing about this category was you had to. We knew it was a structured data approach. It's a kind of wonky term, but like a Wikipedia, IMDb, TripAdvisor, Yelp, that would be the right approach for this category. Sure. You create a lot of it with Mahalo. We knew that we needed to do that, and it didn't exist yet. And so the process of going through and creating structured data where none existed was going to take a while. So, and I also knew from a search perspective and a related search suggestion technology perspective, I needed to bring in some of my heavy hitters. Who were going to, not work for free. So we raised a round that could get us to that
that'll get
product
you 18,
in some runway.
18, 24 months out, no problem. How big is the team? 20 people?
It's actually 30.
30 people?
Yeah.
Wow, so good-sized team.
Yeah.
And you'll be due for raising another round in the next year or so. What's the climate like out there? I mean, you guys have a great product.
I mean, for us, it's been, the cool thing has been, I mean, the hardest thing, you know this, I had spent the last 7 years at Ask in a big public company, but before that, I mean, I started a company in '97 out of business school with a couple classmates and sold that to Ask in '01, and that's how I wound up there. But I hadn't been back to my entrepreneurial roots in a long time. But when you spend a year building a product with no feedback, it's like writing an album, and you don't know if people are going to like it.
You're
or
in a
not.
bubble.
So and so it's stressful.
You're drinking your own Kool-Aid.
Yeah, exactly.
You could. Had the same exact experience with Weblogs Inc. And that is part of the thrill, isn't it? As an entrepreneur, like you're in the studio, and then you drop the album, and then you wait for the reviews. And the reviews were great. I mean, you crushed it at TechCrunch 50.
It was good. So and the thing about it was, so first that was a big relief, and I always thought it was good. I mean, I believed in the music we were making.
And you needed the product. So that's always a great place for entrepreneurs to start. Is if I need this, perhaps other people need it.
Right. That's exactly where it started. But the thing was, starting then, and this is another benefit of your conference, we had a lot of inbound interest. So whether it was VCs or strategics, some of the major cable companies or content companies, everyone interested in how they could partner with us, and then of course it just opens up for other kinds of conversations. So.
Yeah.
But our focus right now is entirely on product. I mean, it's a consumer-facing product. If you don't make it awesome, there's everything else is academic, right?
It's really interesting you say that, because I was talking to somebody the other day about a company, and the company was very focused on revenue models, very focused on strategic partnerships, and my advice had been, let's focus on the product.
Yeah.
If the product doesn't work, if it doesn't get to the 80, 85% it needs to be for a consumer to embrace it. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
But if it's not good enough for a consumer to embrace it, what do all those partnerships do for you? Nothing. Zero.
Yeah. And until you get to a certain critical mass, right? I know Mahalo is now hitting a size that's getting very large.
145th largest site in the United States.
So
13 million
unless you get to be of a certain size, I mean, it's academic revenue-wise also. But we're very excited about the revenue side, and I just had a conversation yesterday with the head of digital for P&G, who's a Clicker fan and had tweeted about us a couple times, so we hooked up. And I'm very excited when we get there of the opportunities to make money. But right now, it's all consumer
right now,
product.
Microsoft, DirecTV should give you $5 million a year to put this on their boxes. I think they should give you $1 million advance, and then they should split the revenue with you 50-50 of whatever, because you're going to make ads on their system like crazy. So they should just give you $1 million. Each of those companies gives you $1 million. You're fine.
Dude, call them right now. Let's do it.
But you know what the problem is? Microsoft will do it. Microsoft's smart. They move fast. DirecTV and all these cable companies, they move so slow. Like the
Well,
government.
that's part of why we got Blake on our board. We just added Blake Kirkorian, the founder of Slingbox, to our board 2 weeks ago.
And he invested too.
Yeah.
Slingbox, I love. I have a Slingbox. I can watch it on my iPhone.
And I honestly think if we could have gotten anybody to join our board, he was the guy I wanted, because he, from like us, a kind of independent Switzerland point of view, needing to work with all these characters, made that happen.
Yeah.
And very early on. I mean,
Slingbox you would think was going to get crushed.
It was forcing its way through, and he did that, incredibly successfully. So
I saw Slingbox and I said, "That's replay TV all over again. That thing's going to get destroyed." And they did it, and they somehow they managed to convince people, "Hey, this is a fine thing. People will extend their TV experience, and people are using that, frankly, to send TV signals from across borders. And that's one of the big uses of it. People are putting those in their house in Europe to watch things in another city in Europe or Asia and America, and then swapping them back and forth. Which, you know what? People within their right to do it. God bless. Let's bring Lon in to do the news. And while we bring in our newsreader, end of the show, we do the news.
Yeah, well, Lon,
we'll read the news. Lon is a very famous. He's a little busy right now, but he's actually told me, Tyler, he's getting recognized in Starbucks. Oh, you're the newsreader from This Week in Startups. Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So while Lon is getting in here for the news, let me ask you this. 7 years at Ask.com working with Barry Diller. What's he like? We hear the stories of Barry Diller working with him. Intense guy. What's it really like?
So it was 3 years for me with him. So we agreed to be sold to him in, I guess, February of 2005.
And was Ask public at that time?
Yeah, Ask was public, I think, in '99.
Right.
But it went up and down. When I joined, it was 79 cents a share, $30 million market cap, with $100 million in the bank.
$30 million market cap with $100 million in the bank.
Right.
So you were
valued negatively.
Valued negatively.
Yes.
And so at that point, you must be buying every share you can afford.
That's when I joined. So it was crazy.
So your options were priced well.
Yes. And then I think 34 a share was what we sold for, maybe.
And what was it when you joined?
79 cents.
Wow.
It was like, it was.
Jesus
Ask
Christ.
had 2
50X.
phases. It kind of had the Ask Jeeves original phase, and then we came in and bought Teoma search engine and changed it all out.
Yeah.
Barry Diller. So one of the apps, you've met him, you know him. Smartest people you would ever meet.
He's quick.
Incredibly, probably the most curious person I've ever met. He really does want to, he owns 60 companies. I mean, he really does get into and understand all these different companies. And has that consumer gene that all these old kind of programming people had. I mean, his first job when he was 26. I mean, I don't think he's flown public since he was in his mid-20s. I mean, because he was president of ABC when he was 27, 28 years old.
It's crazy, huh?
And so, he has that consumer gene of just kind of understanding things. And actually, he has a reputation of being a hothead, but I think he, it's
passionate.
It's passionate, and I think he did mellow, over the years for some of the older days.
The older stories.
So I absolutely loved working.
Maybe
with
too
him.
inquisitive with the acquisitions. Too many pokers in the fire. Too many, spinning too many plates at once.
Exploratory. I mean, and you have to think about it 2 ways. I mean, one is he bought Vivendi and sold it for $7 billion profit in like 3 years.
So you can get addicted to deals. And
yeah, he gets certain deals. I mean, with Ask, the theory was kind of being the glue to all these disparate e-commerce properties that they had.
City Search, Expedia.
Right. And so, I think they've kind of expanded and contracted at certain times. At the end, when I was leaving, it was part of the fact that IC was breaking up and going back into Ticketmaster and LendingTree would all be their own companies again. So we'll see. I think the most interesting thing with Barry is he's getting back into content.
I know, very interesting how he hired the
Ben Silverman and
the knucklehead from NBC who was on Gawker every 15 minutes for doing.
Well, Ben is a force of nature. I mean, he's a very excitable and intense guy.
We're gonna have him on the show.
He would probably love to do it.
He's a great I don't know. He feels like a bit of a knucklehead. I gotta be honest though.
I don't think you would think that. If you spent time with him, if you just went drinking beers with him, you would think, really smart guy, interesting guy.
He's got to be interesting and he's got to be smart. If he had the brain to realize that some of these shows in other countries would crush it here in America. And he brought The Office to America and a couple of these other shows. Is that correct?
Ugly Betty was his.
Yeah.
And, Deal or No Deal, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, so he obviously he knows how to find the good things and replicate them.
There was that one though. There was controversy about one of the shows he wanted to bring over. I think it was called like "Without Breasts There Is No Paradise" or something. It was this really weird show.
Yeah?
You should look it up. Yeah.
Well,
And they got like sort of roundly mocked. That was one of the first big stories I heard about him.
Well, you know, it takes a lot of risks.
should have brought Temptation Island back. That was
Yeah.
the best reality show
Or-
in history.
or MILF.
People crying
Was
because people
Temptation
are cheating on
Island
them.
his?
That was Fox, wasn't it? Temptation Island.
I don't know.
remember.
Whatever that was
that was on
so
Fox. That
wrong.
wasn't NBC.
It was wrong, but it was
Wrong.
It was a
but
train wreck,
delightfully
and a
wrong.
train wreck is what reality TV is
I
all
have
about.
my own reality television show I will be producing, and I'm not afraid to say it right now.
Really?
Yes. This is my idea. Because I was watching Discovery Channel.
Mm.
Did you watch Discovery Channel, big fella? Okay. You watch Shark Week?
Yes.
That's your favorite part of it? He's on the camera.
Yeah.
There you go.
Uh,
That's you, right?
Don't
in
watch
front of-
yourself.
Don't worry,
Just-
don't watch
look at-
yourself.
look
But
at the cat.
you watch Shark Week, correct? Yes or no?
yes.
Okay. Here's my idea for a Shark Week show. Because I was watching it. I don't know if you watched it this year, but there were guys
Shark
swimming
Tank,
with the sharks.
Shark Week. He's obsessed with
Got it,
sharks.
he's got it.
Right.
Yeah,
and these
shark
guys
thing
were
going
swimming
on.
with the sharks, bull sharks, great white sharks, and tiger sharks. These would be the dangerous sharks, correct?
Yes.
And they're swimming with them without a cage, which would be what?
Very dangerous.
And also stupid. Okay.
We don't
So-
say that word.
Oh, we don't say that word. It would not be an
My
intelligent.
baby sister.
Yeah. So it would not be an intelligent thing to do to swim with these sharks.
Ill-advised.
Ill-advised to
Ill-advised.
swim with bull sharks, tiger sharks, and great white sharks.
Yes.
So I'm realizing if these guys are doing it anyway, I've got a great idea. Why don't we have them do it for prizes? And so we take two boats on either side of, you know where the sharks breach and they hit the seals in South America?
yeah, right.
They go right up in the air. We put two boats, right? You put a guy on each boat, and at the same time they jump off into the water and swim to the other boat. If they each, whoever gets there first gets $10 million. Whoever gets to the boat next gets nothing. And
Probably dies.
you could get killed as well. Both of them could be eaten. So maybe you don't even have to pay the $10 million. Would you watch the show?
No.
You wouldn't watch it.
He's
okay.
looking at me because he's scared that he might not be
Yeah.
allowed to watch a show.
Oh yeah, you probably
that involves
wouldn't be allowed
people
to watch
getting
the
eaten
show.
by sharks.
Well, they might not get eaten, but I mean, basically, I'm building off the fact that they've already got people swimming with sharks that are
Right.
very dangerous animals.
Yes.
It's a very dangerous trend on Discovery Channel.
Well, I think it's that you know they have people who are showing them how to swim with the sharks. Right? They're not just throwing people who aren't trained there.
I know, but nobody should be swimming with a bull,
No, that's true.
tiger, or white. I mean, I understand if it's a little lemon tip or a nurse shark and it's this
But
big.
if you're at the surface and you're like flipping around and look like a fish, you're more likely to get bit than like. If
And
you're
these guys
down
were
at
on the
their level.
surface, and then they would go under 10 feet and be with the sharks. Anyway,
It's not a good idea. I wouldn't suggest anyone do it.
anyway, this is going to be my show.
It's a good idea.
It's going to be the
I-
greatest.
I
I
would
could do.
watch that.
This is going to be the greatest show, but pay-per-view.
Who would host it? That's the question. You would,
Me.
Would you?
You know what the
host it?
sad thing
Absolutely.
is? There are people who would actually go on that show
Oh, sure.
I guarantee
because they just
you, I will
want to. They
have-
just want to be on TV.
I will make it $100 million. Whoever gets first,
Wow.
$100 million. Whoever comes in next gets a set of steak
He's throwing
knives.
chum in
Well,
the
that's
water.
the question: is do you want somebody who'd be willing to do that to then have $100 million?
Absolutely.
Do a lot of damage.
No, they're going to waste it in about three
Yeah,
three
something with
months. There'll be
100, I don't
Brewster's
know.
Millions.
This is why Death Race 2000 actually will eventually
This is,
happen.
what was the?
Yeah.
What was the? Was it the Running Man?
Yeah,
Well, there's
Running Man. Yeah, Running
Running
Man.
Man.
Man is with
basically Running-
criminals. Rollerball was the one where
Ah.
it's like you could get killed, but you make a lot of money, and it's the big sport.
Anyway,
Running
shark
Man
to
is-
shark. Sharks do the funniest things. We've got all kinds. Go fish. Cougar Week.
Go-
all kinds of
Go
great
Fish
names
is
from the audience here.
Yeah.
Go fish.
Go fish is a good
Go
name.
fish. Go
That's a good
fish
name
food.
for
There you go. All right,
think
so
you got
Lon is here
something.
with the news. Lon, tell us. Whoa. Big news.
it.
Music.
Big news.
Wow.
Oh.
Oh,
Abrupt. Abrupt that time.
Oof. It must be a breaking story. Go ahead, Lon.
There is breaking news since the show started.
Uh-oh.
Microsoft CFO Chris Liddell is leaving the company at the end of 2009.
Oh, nice guy. I met him.
He will be replaced by Peter Klein. He is apparently looking to become a CEO, looking into opportunities in private equity. He joined Microsoft in 2005.
He's an Australian guy.
Yes,
Or no, New Zealand. Australian or New Zealand?
somewhere down there.
I met him. Nice guy. I had him over for coffee here. We have a couple mutual friends, and this kind of things happen.
Yeah.
They want to go do different things.
Absolutely. Just thought I'd mention it because it actually has happened in the last hour since you guys were
Yeah.
hosting.
I don't know what to take from it. Too soon for but you get my initial reaction. Nice guy, smart guy, and he's a product guy. So, and Microsoft I think doing great things. I think they're going through a renaissance right now. Every time you have the management change a bunch, Ray Ozzie coming in, Bill Gates going out, Steve Ballmer stepping up, Bill Gates going out, that's good. You know, change is good.
Fresh set of eyes on everything.
Yeah. You competed against Microsoft, I guess, at Ask, but they weren't really much of a competitor at that point in time. What do you think they're doing with Bing?
I think
very
that,
Ask-like.
I've gotten in trouble with this one. Yeah, I think, look, I think it's absolutely the direction that search needs to head. I mean, a lot of it is what we had done at Ask previously, but that, you know, isn't really on Ask anymore, and I think it absolutely was the right way to go. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
more power to them.
Ask right now is basically 10 Google links with twice as many, you know, sponsored links. I mean, they're just basically trying to make as much money as possible from it.
I think
from what I can see.
Well, they have a new new COO, Doug Leeds, who used to work for me, who's great, and I think he's going to do some good things with the product.
Hopefully, they can build their own technology. I mean, it's kind of necessary, right? If they're going to do that, or
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, next story. Or the first story.
First real story.
First real story.
AOL rebranding. AOL has announced a change in their logo. It's now lowercase with a period on the end.
Whoa.
Other new efforts to clean up the site, reboot the image. It's sort of a, you know, an attempt to make it a little more youthful, a little more modern. So what's next for AOL after it spins off from Time Warner? I mean, this is obviously the first step in a long road of rebranding.
This is meaningless. Users, you know, the general populace doesn't care.
Right.
They don't care about AOL. The brand is very tarnished.
Now it has a period on the end.
And the lowercase means nothing. The period means nothing.
Right.
The AOL brand, in fact, means nothing right now. But they do own some of the brands. I brought them and other brands that were there, like MapQuest, MoviePhone, Engadget, Autoblog. So those things have tremendous value. So the AOL brand will actually go away. They will rename that company in the next 3 years, I believe. That would be my guess. They do this kind of window dressing stuff because they're having an IPO. So they want to have a fresh look. Why not do it? I don't blame them for it. I think their stock price will crash in the first 6 months after it comes out of the gate, set very low expectations, and then they will start buying a lot of different interesting things in the marketplace, and they will grow and become, they will remain one of the top 3 or 4 ad networks, ad properties on the web. So I think they're going to go through an incredible renaissance after a 6-month dip, and that's when I'm going to buy stock. I'm not going to buy it at the IPO. I'm going to wait for the crash. I guarantee you it will be trading at 50 cents of whatever it IPOs at. If it IPOs at 18, it's going to be trading at $9 over the next 6 months, 9 months, because there's so much bad news that's going to come out. All of the subscription going down. And all of their revenue is tied to those subscription people, still to this day. And they have to learn how to hunt for traffic. And as part of the Weblogs Inc. acquisition, we earned our traffic. We didn't get it from the homepage. And when I went to that company, I'm not speaking out of turn here, this is all pretty much public stuff, you know, the people who were there were very good at asking the homepage to send them traffic. And that's how they believed you got traffic. But on the web, we know we have to fight to get traffic. You have to get it from a referral like Dig or Reddit, or a link from a blog, or a link from the New York Times. You got to get it from SEO. You got to get it from an email, word of mouth, viral marketing. That's how you get traffic, where you pay for it, pay per click. You don't ask somebody who runs the homepage. So I think that whole organization has to switch to how the rest of us get traffic on the web. And they're learning that. And I think they've got a tremendous leader in Tim, who's a great salesperson. So look for buy it on the dip.
So no more mailing people CDs, basically.
They haven't done that for years. I mean, the dial-up business they'll sell it to Earthlink, I bet. They'll shed themselves of it. If they get rid of it and they keep the traffic, then they take these brands they have, and that's the future business. The future business is as a micro content company, and as some people have very graciously said, you know, it's basically the Weblogs Inc. model now. They're going public on the Weblogs Inc. model, which is micro publishing. What's your thoughts on AOL?
Well, I mean, my two, I think you're right about Tim. I'm not sure that they have. I think what they did is they evaluated their assets and they said, this is what we need to do. I think the multiples of content companies make it tough to make that a boom stock. And I think shedding themselves of all this and some of the decline also means that they might not have the leverage to do as many acquisitions. Since doing good ones meaningful ones are either expensive or you have to have a lot of foresight to do them early.
Yeah.
But John Broad, who's leading the ventures group, actually was part of a company we bought at Ask in 04.
AOL Ventures.
He's leading AOL Ventures.
John
Broad is his name, B-R-O-D. And he was running Patch.
Yeah, sure. Patch is the local thing that never
right,
went anywhere.
Right. But he, well, it was still starting out.
It was still starting out.
He was part of I1, which is what we what we wound up buying in 04 because they had all the toolbar
promotions and toolbar traffic. Yeah. So he's a hustler.
So
he knows how to get traffic.
Absolutely. New
so
Yorker
he's responsible
hustler.
for shedding the assets that they're selling right now.
Yeah. And you remember, I mean, they have people like Tony Conrad and smart people who are in and around the business still, and I think...
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do because I think they have a great salesperson at the head of the company. They have some great assets. They will have money, and they'll have a currency. Those are all great things to have. As I said in my interview with Business Insider with Henry Blodgett, what they don't have is a product or editorial visionary person. And every great company out there either is led by a product visionary, somebody who really gets product and rolls up their sleeves and works on every pixel on that screen. That doesn't exist at AOL. That is a dispersed function. There are great product managers there. I've met them. Some of them I hired. But there's no Steve Jobs there. There's no Larry or Sergey. There's no Jerry Yang. There's no Ray Ozzie / Bill Gates. At every company, you either have one person who's a great business head and product head. Apple would be, and Jeff Bezos are the two examples of Bezos.
To me.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. If you talk to entrepreneurs, Bezos versus Steve Jobs, like some of the most successful entrepreneurs I talk to take Bezos over Steve Jobs.
Well, I think it's because Apple is all about Apple, and what Jeff has done. I mean, just think about it on his own. Invested in Google, invested in Twitter.
Yeah.
And he really backs his internal team to push ideas that might not work. For 7-8 years.
Or
what about S3? I mean, my
Kindle, EC2, S3.
It's just, it's incredible.
As I've said on this program before, whoever thought the guy who was trying to sell books online would solve the cloud computing problem?
Right.
I mean, that's embarrassing for IBM
that's
and
why
Microsoft
they're doing
and
so
Google.
well.
Google, yeah.
Can you imagine Google can't get cloud computing to the public, but the guy who sells books, the guy who sells books gets it done? But anyway, that's the biggest problem they have. They do not have a product visionary. That's why I should have been the CEO of AOL.
Come on.
Come on.
What were they thinking?
No, they were thinking I'm not going to be leading a public company. I'm not as Tim is. Tim and I are about the same age, but Tim is a sales guy from Google, and he's going to work well with Wall Street.
And he looks exactly like Peter Gallagher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he's got that credential for that, but what he doesn't have on his team yet, and he's obviously not a product guy. He doesn't have that product guy who's going to say, or gal who's going to say, let's take MapQuest, and this is 2 generations what it should be.
Right.
And that's what makes great companies. They haven't had that for a long time. For a long time. And you need a boldness. This is the same problem Yahoo has right now.
Right.
Carol Bartz, great manager, hardcore, great negotiator, did a good deal with Microsoft, cutting costs. I mean, she's a general, and she curses and all this other nonsense. Hardcore, but she's not going to come up with any great product.
Yeah, but even if she did, she doesn't have the money to back it. I mean, this was the real problem with Google Yahoo, right?
Yeah.
Was people were saying they shouldn't do the Google Yahoo deal shouldn't be accepted, but without the $500 million of free cash that they were going to get from that, Yahoo couldn't afford to innovate, and I don't think AOL can really either. You kind of have to have that going for you,
depending on who the person is. I mean, if you think about young, the sort of scrappy entrepreneurs, these big companies are not bold enough. They need to have somebody who's done it. Like they would hire you in a heartbeat, but they would not put Evan Williams in charge of something. They'd be like, he has never been in a public company. And, it's almost like there's a huge bias between if you've led a public company or not. And if you haven't led a public company, nobody gives you the chance to do so. I mean, they have with Tim, but he was part of the Google IPO. So I just think they have this bias at these big companies towards. They had Josh from Delicious and Katarina from Flickr at Yahoo, and they had 2 of the greatest product minds out there, and they did not leverage them for 1 additional product. I would have given those guys 3 products and said, go. And that's why I give John Miller credit. He gave me Netscape. Go ahead, try to do something with it. We actually made something that was growing the traffic for the first time in Netscape's in the last 5 years of Netscape. Netscape's traffic was going like this. As the browser penetration went down, we launched, like a dig, news service. It started going like that. Propeller, whatever. They changed the name of it. That was stupid, but anyway, if you have this talent, give them something to do. Give Katarina Yahoo Video and say, go. Go. We will not F with you.
Right.
We will not fool around with you in your vision of this.
So why do you think they don't? Why aren't they bringing someone like that in?
Because they're stupid. No, I don't know. Why do you know what I'm talking? What I'm talking about? Correct?
I don't think it's about the person. I think you'd be surprised how much Josh and Katarina were given relative to other people
At Yahoo.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that they were.
They didn't launch another product.
Well, I think what happens is they wind up working on improvements to the thing that was purchased for reasons of trying to validate the purchase. So they're not taken as managers and then off onto other things. But and I don't know. And sometimes it's hard in terms of scaling things. So I think the biggest problem is quarterly earnings, and all engines are focused on that, and the sacrifices those companies wind up making if they don't have the billions in cash that Microsoft has to burn.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think MSN even now is profitable.
No,
can you imagine?
I don't think their web properties have ever been.
But if we could have operated to not having to make a profit all those years,
sure.
What we would have done product-wise beyond what we did, which is still good. So, I don't know. I think there's just a tough thing going on there. So let's let UCLA guy go. Come on.
Go ahead, keep going.
2/3 UCLA at this table right now.
Nice, I like it.
Wow.
Let's see, what's that?
Boredom.
We have a new company in the Deadpool.
Oh, who might it be?
Juiced.
Really?
Joost. Juiced.
Are you going to hand me the Deadpool item, or is it none?
I don't.
Okay.
We don't. I don't.
The Deadpool got destroyed by Torres and Fondue.
The Deadpool has been eaten. So
Juiced. Go ahead.
Juiced. Adconian Media Group announced today that it has acquired key assets from Juiced, the online video service, putting them officially in the Deadpool. They were a peer-to-peer on-demand video player founded by Kazaa and Skype founders Nicholas Zenstrom and Jonas Fries. Juice was among the first companies even trying to bring TV shows, studio content online free and legally. They sort of seem to suffer from an inability to get some of the high-profile content. What went wrong? Why no more Juiced?
You just said it. They suffered from the inability to get enough of the
high-profile
I mean, and this is the thing about Hulu is it's a beautiful website. It's extremely well done, but they own the content. Yeah. And they have it in a very simple one-click format, versus some of the network sites that make you have to navigate through them or download players, and so all the other stuff with Hulu, great television ads and the name and the design, are obviously positives, but the answer is the content. And Juice was just too early in a lot of ways and flew too close to the sun, so Yeah, premium. If you think about the two competitors, they had Hulu and YouTube. YouTube, friction-free for uploading, for watching, and for bandwidth was free, essentially, because they had Google's bandwidth, which is free. And Juice obviously has to pay for bandwidth, and they had a downloadable client.
That was what I was going to say.
I mean, they took them 2 years or something to realize, finally, maybe we should get rid of this.
Yeah.
Download?
That was what I was going to say.
That was like, really? YouTube learned that 3 years ago.
The you have to actually have a desktop client to watch Juice videos. I was like, well,
I tried to download it once. I was like,
that's a
too
nightmare,
hard.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that Hulu just they launched a desktop product and they're going back the other way now.
Right.
So,
yeah, if you have critical mass, you can launch that. And
yeah,
why
exactly.
are they launching it exactly? They want to have an easier experience.
I think there's some people, the same reason a lot of people use a TweetDeck or something. I mean, some people want that persistent experience, or it might be there are things that you can do in a player that you can't do online.
You can use the remote too.
Yeah, use the remote.
So you can sit across the room and watch it like you would TV.
Probably good for them also because they have better advertising opportunities in a client.
Yeah,
you can cache things better, download the ads in the background.
Yeah. It's a nice. I mean, I have the Hulu desktop, and it's a nice.
But it's like having a toolbar. Like a certain percentage of your overall user base will get it.
5%.
But you can't have that be your only.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hulu is just 2 minutes you're watching, House or whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, you know what? At least they tried. Also, I think they overestimated how important the peer-to-peer technology was to video. Like they just thought, oh my God, Skype, Kazaa, peer-to-peer is so important.
Right.
And peer-to-peer doesn't mean anything to the consumer.
Yeah.
I don't care how I'm getting Hulu or
there,
YouTube. It doesn't matter how I get it. It matters what I got. Why do I care?
Also, there's security stuff. People are a little weird about opening up their computer for other people. You know, you can watch stuff on Hulu. Nobody's looking at what your computer is looking at.
Have you been using torrents in the office?
No, I would.
That was another obvious. What?
What's a BitTorrent?
I don't know of this. Torrents.
I've never heard of that.
Torrents?
Technology.
I've never been. I've been to Torrents.
You've never been to torrents?
I've never been to
Lovely
Torrents.
downtown Torrents. Yes.
Okay.
Next story. Swipe. TechCrunch 2008 company
Yes.
Swipe. They're going to debut their patented text input technology on the Verizon Samsung Omnia next year. Takes a little bit of time to master the unique form of keyboard shorthand, but many who have used it are evangelical about Swipe's potential to change the way people type on mobile devices. Excessive hype, or is it really that groundbreaking?
It's it's groundbreaking. They have a patent on it, and that's why we picked it for TechCrunch 50 2008.
2008, yes.
You put your finger on your iPhone pad, and you say, and you go THE, and you take your hand off, and it says the word, and it works. And I've used it, and it works really well. And then when you start getting fast, you're just, and you don't have to, you're just taking your finger off every, 2 to 7 letters, as opposed to taking your finger off every time.
So it's faster than typing.
Much faster than typing on that. A BlackBerry, I think BlackBerry is going to be, BlackBerry users are not going to appreciate it as much because they like the tactile feel.
Right.
iPhone users are going to love it. There must be some licensing thing where they're negotiating with Apple.
Right.
This will wind up on iPhones if Steve Jobs is smart. Because one of the, I would say the number one objection to iPhones is the keyboard, lack of keyboard. Like BlackBerry users, for me, it's a non-starter. I can't type as fast.
Yeah.
And you get emails from me on BlackBerry, they're 3 pages long.
Yes.
On a BlackBerry. On a Saturday night at 2 a.m. when I'm playing
poker. I can confirm
poker.
that they are long.
Yes. So it's cool. It's cool software.
Yeah.
It's not just hype. Let me take a moment to thank Audible. A little Audible commercial.
Audible. Great
They're having
company.
a Thanksgiving promotion. You guys know, 2 days Thanksgiving, and if you want to get a free book, no strings attached. That means no credit card, no fingerprint.
Completely free.
Completely free. No, literally no strings attached. Go to audible.com/Thanksgiving, and you can tweet that right now. You can come over here. Come on over. You can be on the last part of the show. Yeah. No problem. And there's a special book, The Copper Bracelet, which is available, and Twist viewers can get the first chapter free and a discount on the whole book. Audible.com/twistcopper. Twistcopper. So audible.com/Thanksgiving and audible.com/twistcopper. If you love the show, if you love the free content, thank the sponsors.
Yeah.
They love it.
Audible's just great, even if you don't love the show.
If you hate the show, you will love Audible.
If you hate the show, you're still going to like Audible.
Absolutely, absolutely. So who do we have here?
This is Asher. This is Asher.
There you go, Asher, you're on the show.
Scoot over a little more. Scoot over in the camera a little more.
Just a bit.
How old are you?
You give him a chair? Pull up a chair over here, Tyler, or something.
I am.
How old are you? Just look at me.
Well, I am 8.5.
8.5. And can we hear him okay?
If he leans over.
Lean over into your dad's microphone there, and we'll You're wearing a Star Wars shirt, I see.
That is cool.
Well, I just picked it up. My mom just picked it up when I stuck it in my dad's suitcase.
Do you like the old Star Wars better or the new ones?
Old one's better?
The
Who's your
old-
favorite character?
Well, I would actually have to go for Anakin, actually.
Anakin you like?
Anakin,
Really?
favorite character.
Very good. I'm into the dark characters too, like Boba Fett. And what type of, are you a Mac user or a PC user? Windows or PC? Windows or Mac?
What kind of computers do we have?
Well, actually, I use Apple.
Use Apple? Really, huh? And what do you like to do online? Do websites you go to? Are you allowed to go to websites and use the
Yes.
web? What's your favorite website?
Well, either MiniClip, Kidios, or...
Kidios.
Yes.
So that's videos for kids.
Yes.
Ah. What do you watch on there? Skating videos or something?
Tell them about the cat one.
Well,
It's
there's
always
this...
cat videos.
There's this video that I pretend to like, but my sisters are the people that like it.
Ah, got it. And
Cool.
it's the cat videos.
But what is the cat doing? You tell me.
Well,
Briefly,
I think
what
I
does it
think
do?
it's disgusting, but it's about a cat flushing a toilet.
That is pretty disgusting. Yeah. So you like watching videos online? What else
Yes.
do you do online? Anything
Well,
else? You say Kidios, you do like Club Penguin, or your friends do that?
yes, my friends do that. I like going on joining new video game things so I can like joining new video games, getting a password, username, and stuff.
Cheats and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Webkins, you like Webkins?
Yeah.
Webkins is
and-
pretty cool.
My sister liked
What was the
Webkins.
search you did the other day? We came home and there was a search in the Google
really?
box in Firefox. What was the search?
Well, the last
Be careful
time
now. What was the search?
if I can remember, the last thing I Googled, if I ever did, the last thing I Googled, if I remember, was are laser tag guns.
Right.
Are laser tag guns Nerf guns too?
Are they Nerf guns as well?
Yeah.
And so you went to
Can
Mahalo
they-
and asked that
they both-
question. That's fantastic.
Can they both be the same thing?
He's still not
I
sure he's
asked.
allowed to say that
Yeah.
he used Google.
Right. No, you can say you used
I
Google.
know. I went
In
on-
fact, Josh Schachter of Delicious is still in shock from him, jumping all over Google at the lobby.
What grade are you in now?
Third.
Third grade, huh? And do people in your school have phones yet? Are they allowed to have phones?
No, but I have one. It doesn't have email or I can't call anybody. I have none of that.
So you have like an old phone that doesn't work. You have a
well,
brick.
actually, it's an iPhone. You can touch. It works. It just doesn't have
The
any
service.
communication.
Right. So it's useless.
Well, games.
No, you play the games on it. Correct.
Yeah.
And movies.
And movies.
and songs.
Doodle Jump. You could play Doodle Jump
Yeah.
on
Doodle
it.
Jump, I have Googled.
You have
I
Doodle
love
Jump.
Doodle
Doodle
Jump.
Jump's
Doodle Jump is
amazing. That's the
awesome.
I'm
bomb.
not very good at it.
Nobody
Well,
is.
I do have that thing where you can check scores on teams like baseball scores.
Yeah, ESPN or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, what's the big ask for Christmas? Is there a big ask for Christmas? What are you thinking? On a technology basis, what are you hoping for? You hoping for a Droid
Well,
phone?
if I did
What are you hoping for? The iMac?
If I had, I would actually go for a video game.
A video game? Which one? And what
Wait.
system do you use?
So, Beatles.
Oh,
I'm a real big Beatles fan. Beatles
Really?
Rock Band.
Beatles
you go.
Rock
I'm
Band.
going for
Really?
Beatles Rock Band.
That's
Hard
what
day.
I want
All
for
he
the
listens to
holidays.
is the Beatles.
Really?
Oh.
Old school Beatles are good. What's your favorite Beatles album? White Album? Sgt. Pepper's?
Yes.
Sgt. Pepper's?
And then I also like the Rolling Stones.
They're pretty good.
Nice.
Rolling Stones. Kids got taste.
Kid's got good taste, yeah.
Kid's got
I was about
good
to say.
taste.
No
And
Miley
the,
Cyrus?
No.
No,
Okay.
really?
Wait.
Rihanna? No? Not so
Wait,
much?
let me think.
High School
What else
Musical?
do
No. Rolling
There's
Stones?
some songs.
But generally speaking, Rolling Stones over High School Musical.
Yes.
Okay, there is hope for
The
society.
Grateful
Yeah,
Dead.
that's good.
We
Never
have-
We
forget
accomplished
the
that here
Grateful
today.
Dead.
Oh, the Grateful,
Grateful
Dead,
Dead,
really?
there you go.
Oh, Ripple, look at this guy. Very nice. You gonna go on tour with the Dead? You know your
No.
dad followed the Dead for about 3 years. You ask him about that when you're older. Okay.
I already know.
Let's do the final story.
Final story, let's see.
This has been a good show.
Yeah.
Do you like the show?
Yes.
Your dad's pretty famous, you know. You should be very proud of your dad. He's very famous in the internet world.
He doesn't believe that.
You don't believe that?
No.
Dad ran a public company. It's a big deal. That's a very big deal. Trust me, your dad, he's cooler.
He'll never believe that.
I'm telling you right now, your dad is more successful and cooler than 99% of your friends. Most of your friends' dads, losers compared to your dad. Don't tell him I said so. But they really have accomplished very little compared to your dad. He's done a lot.
My dad works on Tyler's teeth. That's something, right?
Yeah, that counts for something. Look at those teeth. Huh?
Beautiful
Well,
smile. Beautiful smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, did a filling yesterday. Didn't even use Novocaine. It was awesome.
Really?
Awesome.
The guy knows what he's
Way
doing.
in the back.
No, but
too.
interestingly enough, Tyler goes to your dad as a dentist. You don't.
Yes. I go to the same office, but I go to a different. Dentist. I think he said he would feel weird about it. 'Cause
Really?
it's- You don't want to hurt your kid. You feel like you wouldn't be doing what he needs to do because you'd be afraid of.
Really?
I think so. I think that's his argument.
All right. Well, that's another 6 months in therapy for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, last story.
Fix my teeth. Last story. eBay has announced that its iPhone app and mobile website are on track to sell more than $500 million worth of goods by the end of 2009. Additionally, the company claims that the value of goods sold on eBay is growing at a double-digit rate each month, and that one item is purchased every 2 seconds from a mobile eBay site.
Okay.
So is this as impressive as it sounds, or is it just that they're cannibalizing their main website's traffic?
No, this could be additive. There's a limited amount of money that everybody has to spend, but you do spend money when you're not at your computer. So maybe when people are supposedly going shopping, they're sitting at a cafe buying something.
See, I think the real appeal would be for tracking bids. Like you put in
Sure.
a bid, and then you want to keep up
That
with
could
it
be
all
what
day
happens.
while
This could
you're
be a
on the
dual use
go.
kind of situation.
That's
they
what
could
I
be
think,
extending
yeah.
the experience. Either way,
Mhm.
good for eBay, because I mean, they have to create the excitement about auctions again.
Yeah.
They've lost the excitement in that service. The whole idea of fighting to get something unique, and it just feels like, I think the buy it now ruined eBay. I really do.
Yeah, people started to rely on that, and it just becomes a straight-up e-commerce.
It might as well be Amazon. So if
Yeah.
you're going to be Amazon, then you should have all the products Amazon has. I want to buy like an old Corvette, and I keep going on to look at old Corvettes, and I can't get an idea of actually if I'm getting a deal or not, because it's like buy it now prices, you know, $65,000 for this 1968 Corvette, but the current price is $30,000. So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to buy it now, or is there any? But it hasn't met the reserve. It just doesn't feel like.
Yeah.
It lost the community aspect too. You feel
Yeah.
like you're buying from someone who is just running a store that's on eBay.
Well, that's most
Right.
of the eBay merchants
Yeah.
now
It's
are
just stores.
Yeah, it's just stores.
And
It's not
interestingly,
individuals anymore.
people like take junk and put it on there, and it costs more than on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening is people are realizing, wait a second, let me check Amazon first, because they have used products. And Amazon is a better deal. And I've already got my Amazon account, so what is unique about eBay? They've lost their unique value proposition.
Yeah.
It's a great company, though. They high margins. What they should really do, I think, is cut the cost structure in that business. Just keep cutting, increasing the margin. Take all that margin and then build another, try to build another business. Because they have all that margin. And that's what, they had the communications with Skype,
Yeah.
and try to build another business. You have massive cash flow. They make billions of dollars a year in profit. You were talking before, you have cash flow. They bought these different things that actually have value. Stumble upon good product, didn't really go anywhere with them. Skype, great product. Why don't they just keep sucking all the money out of that business and invest, and make eBay into Yahoo? Why not? Try something. What are you supposed to do? They could
The
cut.
first time in media this year, someone said someone should try to be more like Yahoo.
More like Yahoo.
Well,
yeah.
whatever. Try to be what Yahoo should have become. And
Crossword
AOL's trying to be.
puzzles.
No, just they could literally cut 2/3 of the cost of eBay's business, and still run the same thing. Just like Google could cut a lot of costs, but they don't because they're trying to build new businesses. Google launches a new product every 2 weeks?
Something like that. It's crazy.
There's got to be 25 launches a year.
It's insane. You can't even keep up. Honestly,
What were the
I
last
have
three
to
products?
skip over. I have to skip over new Google products sometimes. It's like, every week.
And
I
what were
need
the
to
last
talk
3
about
products that eBay launched? Exactly.
I don't know.
There's no innovation culture there.
I guess it would be the mobile eBay.
If this is
They have
what
a
this
new
is how
iPhone
I
app. They
tell
have
if
a
I'm
new Deals iPhone app today.
Absolutely.
That's new.
Well, that would be good. The way I can tell if a company is going to do well or not is the innovation culture. Are they releasing innovative stuff on a regular basis? And if you look at Mahalo, we try to do innovative stuff all the time. Your roadmap for Clicker has innovative stuff every every 2 months?
Right now it's every week because we
Every
just
week,
launched.
right? Okay, but eventually you'll have
Yeah.
something drop. As
Yeah.
I tell my people, we got to have something drop every 6 weeks. If we don't have something drop every 6 weeks, people lose interest. People think it's a dying company. eBay, AOL, the list goes on and on. Yahoo, not launching innovative stuff. It's so clear in the technology industry. You have to have a product-driven, innovative culture, or you will lose. And it's not because that alone will make you lose. It's because the most competitive companies have that. How are you going to compete with Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, Larry and Sergey? You have these killers out there with unlimited, Microsoft still a killer, unlimited resources, innovating day in and day out. These other
I don't
companies.
think you can talk them into it though. I just think you either do or don't have someone running it who gets that.
Right.
And it's either in them or it's not.
If
And
you're not having a meeting every week saying, what's new? What do you have? Come up with an idea.
Yeah.
Then you should not be in a technology business.
And it's hard to adapt.
You should
to,
be
especially
managing
if
a
you're
mutual
coming in
fund.
from another industry. I think that relentlessness of, okay, now what next? What next? What next? And I think at some point everybody's tempted to say, all right, we should take a break and look at what we have
No.
and fix the things we have.
No, that's when you die.
Yeah.
You stop running, you die in this business. It's like Wile E. Coyote with you have that powder keg of TNT, and the cork comes out. You ever see that cartoon? Cork comes out and they light it. That's what being in our industry is like. Your dad's running with a big thing of TNT, and it's lit, and he's got to run. That's why he's got to work late sometimes.
I've
That's why he's
seen
do got to get on the
With
planes.
dynamite.
It's like dynamite. If he doesn't keep running, that's going to catch up.
Yeah, I've seen those.
You've seen those. That's what life is like when you be CEO. What do you want to be when you grow up? CEO?
Well, not exactly sure.
That's a
Wait,
good
you're
answer,
in third
actually.
grade and you're not sure what you're going to be when you grow up? That's okay. NBA? Think an
I
NBA?
am
basketball
interested
player.
in basketball,
Mm.
but I don't think so.
What's your favorite team?
What?
What's your favorite team in the NBA?
Warriors?
The Golden State Warriors.
State Warriors.
We're hardcore.
Really?
Yeah. How did we do against the Knicks the other night? Oh, we won, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Don't give yourselves too much credit. Warriors not doing. Who you have? Steven Jackson?
No, we just traded him.
Oh, is he traded?
Yeah.
Where did he go?
But he does have a Steven Jackson jersey on his
Where did
wall.
Steven
so we don't know
Jackson
what to do. eBay. We might eBay that.
Steven Jackson's
He
on
was
eBay?
traded to the Charlotte Bobcats because he
doesn't
wanted to
re-
be traded to a winner.
Yeah.
And we were mad at him for
Right, so we
wanting
put
to
him
be
on the
traded.
worst
So
team in the
we
league.
gave him to the Bobcats.
And who did you get in return?
Two guys that we got Radmanovich, who's on the Lakers, and Raja Bell, who's 48 years old.
Roger. Wow.
But it
That's
was
awesome. I know,
addition.
you
It
just
was
wanted to
addition
get
by
him out.
subtraction.
Nelly couldn't,
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He was a malcontent.
Yeah.
The reason I'm wearing the orange shirt today is because obviously I'm going to see my Knicks play the Lakers.
Oh, really?
Well,
That should be good.
well, no. The one good thing about it for you guys is you have the 6'10" Italian guy,
Yes.
who's the best three-point shooter in
Absolutely.
the league. He's unbelievable. But you have
Denaro.
nothing else.
Gallinari. Do you know Gallinari? It's incredible. He's got some moves. The kid's got major upside.
Great shooter.
We're trading Eddie Curry. For Eddie Curry.
Trade to the Bobcats.
Yeah. Eddie Curry's going to be gone.
Yeah.
And then we'll have him off the cap. And then next year, LeBron and Chris Bosh on the Knicks.
Well, if it's not somebody else, then I don't think you get LeBron. Because he's not going to
No.
come to play with Al Harrington.
Except
He's going to...
the year after, we will have $15 million in cap space again, which is when Dirk Nowitzki and a bunch of other people come up.
Wouldn't it be great if the Yankees had to have cap space?
No. No, 27. I'm sorry to all the Angels fans. Terrible fan. You watch baseball?
Yes.
Who's your favorite team? Yankees?
Well, they're actually gone. It was the Giants.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We
about
can't really afford as many great players.
that. No.
If you can.
Well,
if you
Yes, yes.
That, you know what? That's life. If you don't have a lot of money, life is not good.
Our,
the critical
our,
lesson
our,
here.
Wonderful message for the next
Absolutely.
generation.
I'm very
You're
good
doing-
influence.
all right.
You're
Last
doing a
time we
bang-up
come here
job.
for this,
Yes.
okay?
No, if you
Talk
don't
about
have a lot of
eating
money, you
sharks
cannot be
and-
successful.
I think I see a new show developing. here.
Jason is
Jason berates the 8-year-old.
Jason
No.
says the darndest things.
Yeah.
No, this is going to change, though, because
If
having
you
kids...
want to compete, you need money.
But having kids is like going through a portal of your
Yes.
own. You come out the other side, you don't recognize the old you.
That's what everybody
And
keeps saying.
you are going to...
People are like, thank God Jason's
going
finally
to
having
play
a kid.
this for him
So
Absolutely.
exciting.
in about 2016.
No, it's actually, you know what? There are many teams in professional sports who don't have the big money, but they have more heart and they play like a team and they win that way too.
but it's better to have money.
But it's better.
Better.
But the
It's-
Yankees have both. They have heart, they play like a team, and they have a large amount of cash. That is
Yes,
good too.
they buy all the best players.
That's right.
There you go.
And all the best players play their best baseball for them. A-Rod hitting
if that
lots
were
of home
true,
runs.
if that were true,
They are playing. And you know what? If you have the best players, they only have to play at 80% capacity. Just look
Yeah.
at A-Rod.
I'm
Okay,
still hoping
I
to
think
get
we're
in the
done.
NBA when I grow up.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's
keep
my
keep
goal.
thinking that. Let me thank Jim Lanzone for coming on the show.
thanks
Appreciate
for having me.
it.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Finally. And thank you to Alex and Tyler. Tyler, amazingly.
Tyler's kind of quiet today.
I was about to say, no insights from Tyler today.
Yeah.
No
What's
insights
wrong?
from Tyler?
Zero. Is it
I
zero?
had one.
That's a
0.0
That is
insights.
a first in Twist history.
It is 0.0
I had one
insights.
little insight during the show here.
I saw you raised your hand during the
Yeah.
AOL
That's
period
right.
You
It
told me.
story.
That's right. It was
There was an
during-
inside
I
AOL?
was
Really?
glad
It was
wanna
during
interrupt.
AOL, which
Really?
is you were talking about the stock going down. You know when I think the best time to short AOL stock would be?
Hold on. Is this an insight?
Yeah.
Yeah. Theme.
Do you see that shot? Show the shot again. Let me
Yeah,
see.
I saw that.
You know where that is?
No.
Put it
Roll,
up again.
roll
Let's
it
see
one
if
more time,
Roll
Alex.
one more time. What city is that?
Oh.
It's hard to remember. Did you see that opera house there with all the
Yes,
weird roof?
I know what that is.
It's far
Sydney
away.
Opera House?
That's the
Hey.
Sydney Opera House.
Good
Very
job.
good.
See?
Very good.
Excellent.
Private school's paying off.
Where
Private
in the
schools
world
are
is
hanging.
Carmen San Diego playing?
Absolutely.
All that,
So that
finally.
is at the top of the Bay Bridge, and that's Tyler and I in very
silly hats.
silly hats.
Oh,
and
that's you?
dorky. That's us.
Oh,
in
I know it was
dorky.
him.
It's both of us in dorky outfits, and we climbed the Bay Bridge together. and we took a picture at the top. And every time there's an insight, we play his jingle. So go ahead. What's the
So
insight?
the
Best time to buy?
AOL. No, best time to short it.
This time
Best time to
short
short
AOL
it.
stock.
How many people are going to go home for Thanksgiving, realize that their grandmother or aunt is on AOL still, and say, "Oh, you got to we got to fix this year. I'll come back for Christmas.
I'll get you off of AOL.
We'll get you off.
Put you on DSL.
I think AOL every year, November to December,
loses a lot of subscribers. New computers come to the house.
Yes.
New internet connections.
Doesn't get the AOL on them. Yeah.
No
That's
AOL.
very astute, because that is actually what happened with my grandparents maybe 2 years ago, as my uncle came in from out of town on the holidays.
Put the
Was
DSL
like, what
in.
are you guys doing?
Verizon.
DSL instead.
Yeah.
Now they have.
Well, I'll
high-speed.
order it for the house. When I come on Christmas, I set it up.
Yeah.
So short AOL in the new year.
November to December.
So short them in
That's a
December.
good insight. That's a
Boom!
jiggle
It's
with the
tremendous.
insight.
That is a
That's a money-making insight.
that's a money-making insight. And then Jason says, buy after that, so we're going to make money twice. He's like the new Jim Cramer.
I was about to say
guy.
this is like Mad Money.
So
More mellow.
now we're opening ourselves up to a large number of lawsuits
Yes.
for giving financial advice. So,
So don't
slight
do any of this
disclaimer,
stuff.
do not take our advice for anything. Tyler is broke, and I have all my money in bonds. So
It's not possible to
Tesla.
short
Tyler
AOL
actually
at
has
this point.
Tyler has cash actually.
But you
little known
can't.
fact.
You can't actually short it because it's not public.
Tyler's got a chunk of cash. Where is your money today? In stocks,
Um,
cash, or bonds?
I'm playing the dollar currently.
And Beanie Babies. I know you're heavily
Gold. He's just
heavily
buying
invested
gold.
in Beanie Babies.
Lon is very, very deeply invested in science fiction Blu-rays.
It's true. Yes.
A lot of Blu-rays.
It's true, actually. Most of my
Most of
my
his
money
net
is
worth
tied up in Blu-ray.
Tied up
That's
in
true.
Blu-ray discs.
And those are going right up. Those
Oh,
are going
absolutely.
through the roof.
Absolutely. So wait a second. You're saying you've got your money in dollars outside the U.S.
No.
Currency?
I did recently. I played the yen for a good move on a bounce recently because
Hmm.
the yen, the dollar versus yen, all-time low, 88 right now. It's like 25
88 cents.
and 88 yen to the dollar.
So you get a lot of yen for a dollar, or
Very, very little.
Very
Yen's
little.
incredibly strong against dollar all time.
So if you buy a bunch of yen now
Yes.
and you hold them,
No, if you short the yen now and then you can exchange it for more later, because you're only going to get 88 now.
so you think it's going to go down further?
It could. I'm currently out of it. I just
You're out.
ended a trade 2 weeks ago on
What about the Canadian dollar?
the American dollar is
The loonie?
just weak as can be right now against almost everything.
So
And
if the U.S. dollar is weak,
Yeah.
how would you buy more U.S. dollars?
well, if you think the dollar is going to bounce back, which it might, then
You
you
buy-
would go long on the dollar.
Right.
If the dollar collapses, which let's all pray it doesn't, but if it does, we're all in a fix. Every country's in a fix. So you might as well go long on the dollar, because if the dollar collapses, you're going to be in the tank
So if
anyway.
all my money is in bonds right now,
Yeah.
then there's not. I don't have to worry because
Right.
if the dollar collapses, it's going to be civil war.
Right, and it wouldn't matter anyway.
It doesn't matter anyway.
Right.
And it can only go up.
Right.
Interesting. Now I'm taking my advice from Tyler.
It's like betting against the Mayan on 2012. It's like if you're wrong,
There we go.
the world ends
There's
anyway.
your
You
insight.
just asking me
It's
about
like betting
2012.
against the Mayans for 2012. There's
The
your.
Mayans did not say the world was going to end.
it doesn't matter. My point is the
that?
point.
You're
Say
betting
it.
against the Mayans in
just when the
2012. That is
calendar
almost as good
starts
as a
over.
wheelchair at Disneyland.
It's just when the calendar.
This
starts
now
over.
we've got. See, we have the front of the shirt like a wheelchair at Disneyland, and the back of the shirt like betting against the Mayans in 2012.
Yeah, there you go.
You might as well do it because if you're
He
wrong,
comes up with these crazy metaphors, like a wheelchair at Disney.
Well,
I mean, you
know
understand what
he's
he
saying.
means by that,
He's
right?
saying that, you know, if
I
the
do. I had a lot of
Mayans
ti- I had
are
a
right,
lot of Tyler
we're
at
all
TC15.
going to evaporate.
Same with
it
the
doesn't
dollar.
matter.
Might as well
Everything's
go long.
vaporized. So you might as well bet that the Mayans
Exactly
are
right.
wrong.
Okay. So
Which
thank
they-
you
but it's
to
not an
at
issue.
DNA Mail. Thank you to at WebSpy. Thank you to at Audible_COM. And thank you to at Ustream. We will see everybody. Have a great Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful for all of you watching the show. If you have a question that you want to have asked, you send an email to contact@thisweekinstartups.com. If you want to be on Ask Jason, you send an email about what you want to pitch to contact@thisweekinstartups. If you have currency trades or other nonsense that you want to do, Tyler's at Steep Decline on Twitter. I'm not joking. And his email is tyler@mahalo. If you have Blu-ray DVDs you want to trade, it's at Lons, Lons.
On Twitter.
On Twitter, you can trade. What are you trading now? It's Omega Man or something?
Omega Man's really overrated. in
Why
my
would anybody get
opinion.
Omega Man on Blu-ray?
Yeah, I don't know.
What are you going to do? You're
It's-
going to see you're going to see those robes?
Yeah, it's a really kind of ugly, oversaturated 70s.
and the sets look terrible.
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
not-
obviously a set.
It's not a great movie. That and Soylent Green, both. They sort of
They look
have
so fake.
moments, but they're not. Yeah, it's really Technicolor, cartoonish. Not so great.
The sets look so terrible that
yeah,
you
very
on,
cheap productions.
on a VHS tape it looks like a set. On a DVD, it looks horrible. And on a Blu-ray, you're gonna
Yeah, it's going to be so crisp. You're really going to be able to see the
painted
cheesiness
rocks
and the matte paintings.
Yeah.
And everything. Yeah, it's not.
All right, we'll see everybody on the next This Week in Startups.
With this time, I go for mine. I get to shine. Now throw your hands